Michelle will be here with us in a few minutes, or actually in like a minute. The lesson is starting officially very shortly. So let me tell you more about Michelle. In the meantime, if you haven't heard of Michelle Khare, you're gonna meet an amazing woman. She is an actress, a show host, and a YouTuber who has a show, a series on YouTube called Challenge Accepted. And in her challenges, she takes on a new profession every month and trains as hard as she can to become that new profession. For instance, a NASA astronaut, for instance, a lifeguard, for instance, an FBI agent. She has done so many amazing and incredibly difficult challenges. And this month, her challenge is, guess what? Guess what her challenge is? To train like a chess player, a chess professional, and she's gonna be competing at her first ever chess tournament, PogChamps 3. That is her latest challenge. Isn't it cool? I'm so excited to be helping her. I'm so hyped about this lesson because she's gonna go on a full-on grind. She's gonna go on full-on grind and try to become as best as she can be in a month. She's got a month to go from 0 to hero. She wants to win the tournament.
Haha.
Hello? Michelle! Hello!
Oh my god, hi! Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I always mess up everything with audio and stuff, so do let me know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Wait, hold on. I think my music is going. I have so many tabs open. Okay, chess.com. Hi!
Hello! So nice to meet you too, Michelle. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm so ready for this. I've had my caffeine. I've got my notebook. I'm ready to take notes. I'm ready to learn from the greatest, Anna. Oh my God! Can I just say you're so cool? Like straight out the gate.
Likewise.
I'm like fangirling. I think you're so cool. I love watching your streams. Obviously, your chess resume speaks for itself. And thank you so much for teaching me when I am so new to this. It really means a lot to me. So thank you.
Michelle, you are an amazing role model. When I saw your resume and what you're up to, I was like, goodness me, she's like some superwoman. You are Wonder Woman yourself. So thank you so much for the compliments. But back at you, girl, because you have accomplished so many things, and this month you have taken on a new challenge. Can you please let the chess viewers know who may not be familiar with your series on YouTube or what you're up to? I think we need to intro this.
Absolutely. Well, hello, Anna fam. Thank you so much for having me today. So basically, on my YouTube channel, I do a series called Challenge Accepted, and in each episode, I take on a different community, lifestyle, or profession, and go as hard as possible into it. So I've done everything from Marine boot camp to training like a firefighter, and then going in a burning building. And this time, I wanted to change it up and see how far I could push my brain. It's already going pretty far. I'll just say that. And really, really grateful to get to learn from the wonderful Anna and Levy, and also get to participate in PogChamps. That's going to sort of be my final test to see how far I can go, you know?
I think it's mind-blowing what you have done so far in terms of the challenges, and that you are not taking on this new challenge. That's how much you can improve at chess within a month. We are here to help you. We're gonna make sure that you get all the coaching in. We'll be backing you up.
I'm ready.
And I know you've started already. I was telling my viewers earlier that you have done some of Levy's courses already. You're on a puzzle grind. You had your session, your first ever on-stream session yesterday with Levy, and today we are here to continue on what you started yesterday.
Yes. Whatever that may mean, I'm ready for it.
Sure, let's jump in. I'll need you to be on
awesome.
chess.com. That's gonna be our battlefield as usual. You're gonna be on chess.com. I'm gonna go over there too in a second.
Okay. Wait, should I just go to chess.com/live?
Yes, exactly. You already know the place. Amazing. And I'm gonna invite you to an analysis board. So there's gonna be a pop-up in the bottom right corner in a moment.
Is this the part where I'm on blast because of a recent game I played?
I may have taken a look at all of your previous games,
No!
but that's not what we're gonna start with. I'm gonna start with something else.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure, can my chat see everything? Let me know, guys, if this window capture thing is working. Okay, cool.
I'm just gonna fix your
I'm
camera
on
real
and
quick.
off
Sorry, I
record.
didn't realize that I'm not cropping you well enough. One more second. Apologies, that's on my
Here I
end.
am for your cropping.
Thank you. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm loving it. Speaking of which, you started streaming, I believe, for one of your previous challenges, which was to become a gamer, and you were playing competitive Fortnite.
Yeah, I was.
How crazy
That
is
was
that?
also really hard. But I'm actually really happy I got to do that because now we have like the setup and I'm ready to go for chess since there are no over the board tournaments happening.
Yeah, you're right. It's all about online chess mostly nowadays due to the pandemic, and going in the direction of esports. So basically, you already are a gamer, and now you're gonna be a chess gamer.
Yeah, hopefully.
Let's get started. Michelle,
Okay.
I have one objective for you for today, and that is I'm gonna try to help you as much as I can to organize your thought process during the game. So
I would love to be more organized. Good God. Oh, that would be great.
also, just on a side note, I think you are the only PogChamps participants in history who ever has taken notes. So that's another bonus, and a tick next to your name because I've never seen anyone being this
Well, I don't know if anything's
dedicated.
useful. This is a blank page right now. so-
Don't tell anyone, Michelle. There's nothing on that paper.
I feel like this is the way I learn. And it helps me to like go back over stuff. Like yesterday, I was going back over stuff that I talked about with Levy. So I don't know if I'm even writing anything down useful, but hopefully it makes sense to me at least.
I'm sure it's useful, and I hope that today you will get to take a few more notes. What we're gonna do today is to simulate a game that will be about the level of a PogChamps competition opponent. So I'm gonna be making moves against you, but I'm gonna try to simulate the level of a future opponent of yours. And what
Okay.
I need you to do every move, you're gonna talk us through your thought process about your own moves, and you will also analyze my moves. And once we get started, I will give you more directions on what else I need you to do to become a really good chess thinker, because we're gonna develop a systematic way of thinking, and that will help you during gameplay. Hopefully it will help you.
Perfect.
You've got the white pieces.
So I go first.
Yes.
Cool. So I will just do pawn d4 because I've been practicing London. Seems like everyone is doing that.
Yeah, everyone loves the London system, so I'm gonna copy you and push this pawn.
Okay. So because I'm gonna go bishop f4 just to continue my trip to London.
Very good job. I'm gonna make this move. So far, what do you think of this game? Am I making all right moves? Do you think that this is a decent level of an opponent for now? What you see from my play? You're gonna need to evaluate how well I am doing here.
Grandmaster myself, my expert. I'm just kidding. Well, I think that the fact that they knew to respond with pawn d5 indicates they've probably trained some. And also moving the knight to f6 also seems perhaps they're going to push the g pawn forward and then move the bishop in for King's Indian.
Very good. I know that's an opening you started studying too. Amazing. So it's your go next, and I'll need you to again keep going with the thought process. Explain why you do what.
Okay, so their knight is not currently attacking anything of mine, so I will just continue again with my London situation. And I will go ahead and move my pawn to e3.
I like a lot that you took a look at my move and you analyzed if I'm threatening anything. That's a very important part, and I was hoping that you will do it all by yourself, and you did. So I don't even need to teach you that.
Okay, that's my move.
Amazing. I'm gonna move my knight here and ask you what you think of my move again. And what am I doing?
Well, okay. You could be preparing your knight to go to b4 to attack, to fork my pawns. You could be, yeah, that seems like a possible next move for your knight. So maybe to continue my London and to potentially counteract that, I will move my pawn c3.
Very good thinking. Very good thinking. Is my knight standing well on the square where I moved it to? Do you think the knight is all right here? Or would you have suggested a different move for me?
I probably would have gone, if I was moving the knight, maybe knight c6 to at least protect the king and also be more centered in the board.
Very good, very good. So my knight on the rim is not doing very well, and by pushing c3, you're preventing that jump that I was probably planning. So very good thinking that you looked at my move. You saw that the next active move for that knight would be that jump, and you're preventing it, which means that now my knight is stuck on the edge. We have a saying at chess that a knight on the rim is dim, and it's exactly how it works. It's a very poor piece there. Where can I go? If I want to move this knight again, what would be an alright move for me? If I want to go elsewhere from the edge, where can I go?
You just have to retreat back.
Yeah, that's really sad when you need to retreat to the square you're coming from, because
I don't want to retreat.
I know. And you need to think of every turn as a time unit. You are given 1 unit of time. It's your turn, then it's your opponent's time unit to use. So you want to make sure you make the most out of your time units, because you only have 1 turn each. So you want to make sure that you use that time for the most benefit of your pieces. You want to develop your pieces, you want to castle. And if I have to keep moving the same piece, I'm wasting time, meaning that the rest of my pieces will not be able to use that time, unfortunately. So that said, I guess I'm gonna stay here for now. And I'm gonna move this pawn in case I can scare you.
Okay. I'm going to choose to not engage with that pawn because my pawn is already protected.
Very good.
And instead, I will move my bishop d3, threatening. Well, not threatening because you're protected by a pawn, but looking at your knight on a6.
Very good. Excellent again that you looked at my move, checked if I'm threatening anything, and you noticed that you don't need to care about my capture because you already are guarding the pawn with 2 of your pawns. Very good job. Now what if I take it? With which pawn do you want to take back?
I guess I will take back with my, well, okay, so my thought process is if I take with the C pawn, that could be bad if I castle on that side. But if I take with the other pawn, then my king is exposed pretty early. But it would allow me to later castle left.
There's no wrong answer here. I'm just curious which one. I thought I may as well tell you that. It's not like one is the terrible move and the other is a perfect move. I'm curious which one would you go for. Just which one feels more natural to you as of now.
You know what? As of now that I've thought about castling, I can castle my king to the right, to the king side, in just 1 move by moving that knight out. Whereas on the queen side, I have to move 2 pieces. So I think I'll prepare to castle king side and therefore take a pawn queen side, so C pawn.
Amazing. It's excellent that you're already thinking about which side you want to castle to, and when you have chosen the side, that will determine how you move the pawns. Very good thinking again. Now I'm gonna try to develop my pieces too, and hopefully continue to scare you. Not that I have managed so far. Is this scary?
Well, so I could take back, but then you're protected by the knight. So I feel like I could just move my F pawn one forward.
So you notice that my threat is against your queen, and you also notice that you shouldn't really take the bishop because I'm guarding it, and that's not a good trade. I would win a...
Wait, can I move my queen A4 and put the king in check?
Oh.
Is that good? Is that crazy? Levy says I get too crazy with the queen.
I know, and I noticed it too in your games, and I was gonna talk to you today about like, Michelle, we're gonna keep the queen within our boundaries and keep it protected. But every game is different, and depending on how your opponent plays, sometimes you do need to try to take advantage of what they are doing. I think Lavi was telling you too that sometimes the opponent's moves are very random, and you want to try to punish them for doing this or that. And in this case, your queen is hanging, so you either, as you said, you either play something in between on f3 or e2, or you need to move the queen anyway. So I'm kind of forcing you to move it. It makes sense to move here. Another thing, before we take a look at your queen move, the check here, if you push the pawn to f3, how does that impact your future plan of castling to that side?
Oh... Well, I could still, it would be even on both sides, potentially. I could still castle.
Yeah, you could.
But it would be less exciting.
Yeah, and it would be somewhat less safe. So if you know that you want to castle to that side, try to keep these pawns here for now. Because if you start pushing them, I call these pawns the bodyguards. When you castle to that side, those 3 pawns are your bodyguards, and you want to keep the bodyguards as close to your king as possible. So we're gonna make sure that they stand right next to the king. There will be cases when you need to move one bodyguard a little bit further. We will see. I think you have already solved many puzzles where there's a back rank checkmate. So it's not always good to have them that close, but in principle, for the beginning of the game, until you develop your pieces and such, keep those pawns where they are if you can, because they will be the guardians of your king. You need them.
Okay, so therefore I should move the queen.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so if I move it to a4, they will probably just bring the bishop back. I can't take the knight because they'll just take back with a pawn. So it would just be like a little like scared you moment, and that's it, pretty much. Like, I don't know where it would go after that.
Yeah.
But it seems like a move that actually forces my opponent to do something.
Very good thinking. And also, if you compare, after this queen check, you're saying I could go back with the bishop. Where do you think I prefer my bishop? Do you think I like it here, or do you think I prefer it there?
Probably there, because the only other option to protect the king is to sacrifice the queen.
Oh, I think you see tactics already. Will you show us what you're talking about? I think after this check, you're saying...
If you move the queen?
Yeah.
Then I take, and then the king takes back.
So you could trade the queens, or, even better, win the queen. How do we win the queen?
Oh my god. Bring in the bishop. Ah! Wait, hold on. Okay, so this bishop is here. This. So if I move here and you move your queen. If I move my bishop in, the queen has to take, because the queen can't move because it's protecting the king.
Very good thinking, yes.
Oh my god!
Very good job, Michelle. Look at you. Winning the queen, bishop b5, because yes, you can trade, but we want to trade it for the bishop. That's even better, right? We want to take it for a less valuable piece. Excellent. I cannot move. It's pinned.
What if you had moved your bishop back?
So that's a better move for me, isn't it? To move the bishop back. You're right. This is a much better defensive move. But even like this...
I would still move in.
You could if you want to, yes, for instance. And just in general, the fact that my bishop was here earlier... I'm just going to show you this real quick. So I moved here. Is that an active square for the bishop? Do you think that my bishop is doing well there on that square?
It's attacking the queen.
Yeah.
So... yeah.
It is. Yeah, it's
a trick question.
No, don't worry. It's not always trick questions. You're right. That bishop, it has just developed. It was on the back rank. Now it's attacking the queen. So it's a pretty good move for black. But now, because of the check, first of all, you are testing me. If I make a mistake, if I make the wrong choice, you are winning my queen. You will want to create opportunities like this in your games, but even if you yourself know that there's a better move for your opponent, but they are given a test, a question that they need to respond to, and they could go wrong. We all make mistakes. So the more often you find a move that creates this situation where there will be good and bad moves as a response, but it's up to them which one they choose. And of course, you shouldn't be there thinking that they will always go for the wrong one. You should be ready for the right response too. But you are testing them. The more you test them, the more likely they will make a mistake, because you cannot always go for the correct solution.
Okay.
So very good thinking that this check, it makes sense. And after the bishop goes back, you said that you could play bishop b5, and that's good. I just want to show you real quick whether you play bishop b5 or you move the queen. But the difference is that my bishop was on that red square earlier, right? On g4. And now it's here. So where was my bishop more active? Where was it more in an attacking situation?
At g4.
G4. So even if there's no actual attacking follow-up and you just drop the queen back, remember you had to move the queen no matter what. You either move it or you could use perhaps the knight to shield instead of the pawn. But in any case, if you wanted to move the queen, it makes sense to give the check first, because even if you just move it to another square that's not a check, you want me to be as passive as possible. You want my pieces to go back into my territory. You don't want that your opponent is attacking you. You want to attack them. So it makes sense to force my pieces go back, even if there's no winning follow-up.
Okay.
Now, you said that you probably want to go here with the bishop. Feel free to think about that, or feel free to move the queen. It's your game, up to you.
You know what the problem is? Like, I go through the game, I get through the opening, chilling, and then I just have this like burst of like, I have to be crazy and then do something crazy. That's what I'm having right now. So if we're being truthful to how I'm currently playing, I don't know if this is the best move. Wait.
What happened? Michelle, tell us about it.
Hold on.
Tell us about it.
They take with the bishop, I take with the queen. Oh my god, they're protected by the knight! See this? I'm too crazy. I can't take it back. I can't take it back. No! I got too crazy.
It's alright. So what is it that you're worried? What is it that you're worried about? Let me know.
Alright, so I walked through the entire situation in my head.
Yeah.
If I go here, your bishop takes. Wait a second. Maybe not even, because they're protected by this knight. So even if your bishop takes...
Yeah?
We know it can't. Wait.
I love it. Keep going.
Oh.
Keep going.
Okay, I go there. This is so confusing. Okay, if I go here, Do you even have to move? I actually don't even know if you have to move. Wait, hold on. Here.
Good question.
Because
Good question there.
You know you're protected by 2 pieces. Right?
Mm-hmm. Meaning
Right.
that I don't have to take your bishop. I could just do something else because my bishop is already protected. Very good job noticing that. So as much as we want to keep the attack going, this isn't threatening much, as you said, because that bishop is guarded by so many of black's pieces. And in general, do you want to trade a lot of pieces when it's equal material? So far, we both have only captured a pawn each. No one is ahead. Do you want to trade many pieces, or do you enjoy positions with more dynamics and attacking opportunities?
Whichever one is correct. Probably the second one.
To be fair, both could be correct depending on your playing style. Every chess player has their own personal style, and I feel like you're gonna be a great aggressive attacking player, because you always search for going forward, how to push, how to threaten, how to move the queen at moves. So I think from what I see so far, you would prefer to have the queen on the board and more pieces on the board and try to win the queen instead of trade the queen. So we will not go for too many trades. But what you can do after that bishop move, this is not a bad move, first of all, so it's fine. But if you drop the queen here, what is it that you are threatening?
2 pawns. Nope,
Yeah.
Wait, hold. Okay, so the pawn on d5 is also protected by this pesky knight.
Mm-hmm.
But I am threatening the pawn on b7.
Mm-hmm. You're threatening the pawn on b7, and if I allow you to capture it, what else is an issue for me in the position? So the pawn, yeah, it's hanging. And if the pawn falls, what else is an issue for me?
The knight.
Yeah, so that's the pawn that's guarding my knight. And this is again one of those situations where you are testing me. Let's say I notice that the pawn is hanging, and I'm like, okay, I see, Michelle wants to take my pawn. I'm gonna push it. And then by preventing your threat, they could fall for an even bigger one. Do you see what you can do here?
Oh, well, I guess I can take their knight on a6 with my bishop.
Yes. Go for it. And these things will happen quite a lot at PogChamps, because the issue with chess is that you need to visualize your move and check if it's a safe one. So we're going to be practicing how to make safe moves, say pieces that will be protected in your camp and unprotected pieces in the opponent's camp. In this case, what makes it difficult for black is that this pawn is guarding the knight. So you don't really consider that knight being in danger. You see that the pawn is in danger, so you want to make sure the pawn cannot be captured. And it's quite a common mistake for beginners that they will not understand that if you move the pawn, then no one else is guarding the knight anymore. And that's a huge issue with chess, that you need to see this before you make a move, because there's no take back. So I'm pretty sure that most players will actually notice once they have made the move that, oh, goodness me, my knight! But it's too late. So it doesn't matter that they realize it.
Literally me last night at 11:30 p.m. playing a game that you're probably going to bring on stream later today.
I think those are the games I've seen, because you were doing so well, but then there were moments when I was like, I'm sure you noticed it after making the move that you shouldn't have. So we're gonna practice that today, but this will happen quite a lot for your opponents too, that they if they are not trained to think systematically and always observe what changes in the position. Every move has its pros and cons. Sometimes the cons are just nothing to be worried about, but in this case too, the pawn here on b7 is guarding the a6 and c6 squares. The c6 square is nothing going on. On a6 there's a knight, so not all of them matter, but you should always check what changes in the position. So by pushing the pawn, now these are the squares that pawn is guarding, and these are the squares that the pawn is no longer guarding. So once you get used to checking what's the impact of that move? What is it that changes? And sometimes the change will be very subtle and you can't take advantage of it. Other times you're going to be winning a queen or rook or knight or checkmating. So if you get used to checking what is the opponent's threat, that you already are doing it. You're doing that already. But if you also add to it that you compare what is it that changes in the position, that will help you a lot to exploit the opponent's mistakes. So we're going to always watch out for what is my opponent threatening, what is their idea, and what has changed in the position. Because I remembered also at the lesson with Levi, there were quite many examples where a pawn push, you look at the pawn being pushed, but maybe there's a bishop here, so it opens up the diagonal of the bishop. Maybe it opens up a path for the rook. So we're gonna try to systematically think about those changes until it becomes natural. One day it will be natural, but at the start we're gonna have to think about it every turn. So you have captured my knight. Unfortunately, that's not something I wanted, but I cannot take my moves back. I'm just gonna push this pawn and hope for the best.
Okay.
Now,
can I ask a question real quick?
Always, please, always tell me to pause and ask.
You really like dumbing it down question.
Always, please. But there's no such thing as too dumb question. Every question is valid.
So whenever your opponent moves,
yeah,
and I know your brain moves like a billion times faster than mine, but if you were to slow it down, what are the questions you're asking yourself after the move? So you're asking yourself, what are they threatening? And did their move open something else up? Is that it? Or is there...
Yeah, a very good question. We can also just go to any other moment when maybe nothing is hanging, just so that it's more normal. Maybe this one. Just for instance, about this bishop move, I would ask the following. Not just about this bishop move, but any move. So we're going to use this as an example, but at any turn, I think my brain is saying, what is my opponent's threat? What is their move doing? We could maybe just here. So first question, what is the threat of my opponent? Or what are they trying to achieve? Because there's sometimes it's not an immediate threat, but they are aiming for something. So you either see an immediate threat or you see an intention that they want to, for instance, bring the queen toward your king and then their rook toward your king and checkmate. So it may not always be an immediate threat. That's why it's useful to ask, what is their threat? What are they aiming for? So you try to figure out their plan before their plan is on the board. You try to see the intention. And then once you have figured out whether there's a direct threat that you need to respond to, or whether their plan is a very scary one and you're gonna have to try to prevent it, you will also compare what has changed in the position, meaning that you will think where that piece is coming from. Did it have a role? Was it protecting something? Was it in the way of something? And now when the piece is placed, is it attacking something else? Is it guarding something else? What's the relation between the pieces, how it changes, how the rest of the pieces relate to one another? It probably has opened something, maybe it blocks something, maybe it's now on a square where it's unprotected, or maybe it's on a square where it's guarding something else. So you will try to see how the pieces relate to one another, and that's it. That's all.
Okay, cool.
I know it can be difficult at the start to always think about it, because it takes time and you're going to be playing 10-minute games. So it's like you can't be thinking 1
really
minute per
fast.
move. It's fast. But you will start seeing this more natural once you have some practice. So don't worry if it doesn't come natural, but we're going to practice now to have this type of thought process, this systematic way of thinking. And about your moves, the most important, when you have chosen a move, you check if that's a safe move. I always say that it's so important to just you don't have to find the best move of the computer. You don't have to play perfect chess. As long as your moves are safe, as long as they are not hanging something, as long as they are not allowing checkmate, you will always have chances. So it's very important, of course, to have a plan to improve your position. But a lot of games will be decided by, oh, I blundered my queen. Oh, I didn't see checkmate. So we want to minimize your mistakes by making sure that the move you think of, you check in your mind if that's a safe square for your piece, and you also always look at your king, because that's the objective of the game, and we want to make sure no one can hunt down our king. We're gonna try to checkmate the opponent, but we're gonna try to protect our king at the same time as much as possible.
So you check the king on every move.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. Yes. That's the most important part.
yeah. But it's good that you asked, because it's not natural at the start. So we could go in this order. You check. Let's go to this position because this is the current one. So we're gonna, from now on, at every turn, say, okay, this is my move. Am I threatening something? What am I aiming for?
So first I'm gonna check my king. Looks like he's eight right now.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I'm going to ask, how can I, what should I do next? Or even how can I threaten something?
Don't forget to ask though, what is the opponent threatening? So it's very good that you started with your king. You can always start with your king. But remember that their move has changed the position somehow. So we're going to take a look at whether that move is threatening something. Is there any plan you can notice behind it? And how do you need to react to it if you have to react?
Okay. So they moved that pawn forward one. And it does not immediately threaten anything, but they could be moving it down to try. Well, I guess they can't even threaten my bishop because I can just take. I'm not quite sure what they're going for. Oh my God.
It's okay, because sometimes their moves will be just a normal developing move. Sometimes their moves will make no sense. So you don't always have to see like a big master plan behind it.
But you're right. I didn't think about what does this open. I only looked at the king and saw their king and saw, oh, their king has like a space in front of it. I didn't even think, oh, the bishop can escape now.
Yeah, they opened up the diagonal of the bishop. So that's something that's good to look at, because imagine if your queen, let's say I'm going to modify this position just a tiny bit. Ignore me. If your queen was here by any chance, or on b4, let's say you took something on b4, but then this move, so it's a pawn that's moved, and you will always look at the piece that has just been moved. But if you start systematically thinking about what has changed in the position, you will never miss that your queen is hanging. Like, this could be a situation where, oh, it's a pawn move. The pawn is not threatening anything. It's guarding the other pawn. Everything is fine. And you could forget that it opened up the bishop.
Yeah.
So that's why it's very helpful to look at it this way. Oftentimes there will be nothing, but other times you will spot something major that can literally prevent disaster. That we hang our queen, for instance. So e6, you said it opens the bishop, and now, as you said, it's your turn to think about your move. If I'm not threatening anything, if there's nothing about your king either, you're not in danger, then you can just go ahead with your plan. And your plan at the start of the game is to, I think you already know the opening principles.
My plan. So let's see here. So I guess technically, oh, whoops, sorry. Continuing on, I could move the knight to d2. However, I could also move the knight c3, which pins this pawn to this one. Well, actually, there's a knight there. Never mind.
That's all right.
I guess I could also move this knight to f3.
Yeah.
And then that opens up a castle. I guess both open a castle.
So you're thinking about knight moves that develop your pieces, and you will want to castle. You already have chosen which side you want to castle to. And that side
so
is...
I think I should just move this knight up.
Yeah. You should try to castle as soon as you can, because that makes sure that there's nothing going on against your king. It's not like it's in danger right now, but there could be scenarios where I somehow get to come to this square. Maybe it's only a check, but maybe it could be disturbing. The sooner you castle, the less likely is that your king will be in danger, because once you castle, as we said, you're gonna have your bodyguards in front of your king. So when you choose between the two knights, try to aim for the knight that is in the way of your castling, because even if you don't want to castle instantly, at least you know you're one move away from tucking your king in. So make sure that you don't have pieces in between the king and the rook. Develop those pieces first.
Okay.
Like in the London, you develop the other bishop, so it's not like you always have to listen. Depends on the opening, but in general, when you have a choice, go for the one that's on the side where you want to castle.
Okay.
Amazing. I'm gonna move this bishop out, because I heard the same that I need to castle.
Okay. Oh, I was like, what is going on? Of course. Okay, so by moving the bishop out, you are able to castle.
Yeah, very good.
Tell me if this is silly, but seeing that you are about to castle on that side, could I move my knight out and prepare to castle the opposite side? So that... Is that...
I was smiling this much because I think that shows that you will be a very aggressive attacking player, because you are trying to find a way in which you can go the other side and then attack my king, because I think Levi told you about pawn storms, that you can just throw your pawns at my king and you would try to do that. There will be positions where you can. There will be cases where you can. In other situations, it's not that safe for your king. In general, if a file is already open, imagine that if you castle this side, your king...
Oh, then it'll be exposed.
Yes. So it makes your king more vulnerable. It's not a disaster. So if you want to castle opposite sides, you can. Do you want to? It's gonna be risky, but I think you like the risk factor if it gets you to an attack.
I don't think I've played one game end to end, like in full, like peaceful mentality. So I feel that I should, because clearly the chaos isn't serving me as of right now. So I'm gonna do the original plan, castle.
Okay, sure. I was like, you know what, Michelle, if you want to castle queenside, I'm gonna let you do that. Even if it's...
My chat is like, send it, go!
And one thing, though, that I think will be in favor of your choice, it's more solid, and it could be a bit more boring, that both kings are on the same flank, so you can't really go for crazy attacking ideas by launching these pawns. Why you shouldn't launch those pawns forward? Why don't we go for pawn storms when the kings are on the same side?
Because he needs his bodyguards.
Very good. Excellent. So the pawn storm and that very exciting attack would only happen if you castle the opposite side. So this is what Michelle was considering, just to put it on the board, to castle opposite side. And I think we can choose openings for you where you'll be able to do it. You can't always get it, but if you like it, we can aim for openings where you will have a situation like this. One thing I was gonna add, though, is that in terms of the material, if you remember, you've already taken a knight, so you're up a piece. Being up a piece is quite an advantage. It doesn't win the game instantly. You will still need to make many good moves. and make sure that you don't blunder your pieces. So it's not like it's a guaranteed win. But if you're up material, I would suggest that you don't go for
Castle queen side.
unnecessary risk. Like it wasn't too much. It wasn't like going full on crazy. So please don't take it like that. I think it was okay. It was okay to play it, but you don't have to take chances when you would win also by trading all pieces. Like this is a stage of the game where if you traded everything of the same value, you trade queens for queens, you trade the rooks for rooks and the rest, what will remain on the board? If you take away every piece for the same value, and bishop and knight being of the same value, so you can trade bishops or knights. If you take all the black pieces, imagine that you trade all the black pieces, what remains on the board? I don't mean pawns, but I mean knight, bishop, queen, rook. If you in the future exchange all of their pieces, what will remain on the board?
I'm up a knight.
Yep, and you will be the only one that has a knight. I'm gonna have a king and pawns, and you're gonna have king, pawns, and a knight. Do you think you would be able to win a position where you have king, pawns, and knight, and the opponent only has a king and some pawns?
Once I do the in-game tutorial on Night King ending, yeah.
Good answer.
I guess right now my mind would go to just promoting a pawn and turning it into a queen and then doing like the queen's in-game.
But that's the way to do it. But do you think it's easier to create a pass pawn and promote it to a queen when you have a knight or when you don't have a knight?
Having a knight.
So that means that from here on, you don't have to go for anything crazy, because even if you just go for trades of equal value, you are approaching something that benefits you. It's me with a piece down who wants to create chaos because I want you to make a mistake too. If we just keep going with normal moves, that tendency doesn't favor me because I want you to blunder something. I want you to blunder your queen. I want you to blunder checkmate. So the more pieces, the more chaos, the more opportunities perhaps I get too. So sometimes it's okay to choose the little bit more boring option of tucking the king in, but you're not giving me any unnecessary chances of like you blundering something. But again, we will choose openings where you can do that because I think that's your personality. I think you want to play like that.
Well, yeah, I want to master or get better at, I'm not going to be clearly mastering anything, but I want to get better at peaceful mindset as well. Because I also know like the nerves on the day, thinking about how many people are going to be watching this.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry. I know it's a lot easier to say than to do it, but you will play your best chess when you get so lost in the game that all that you think of is that position, that moment, and the next move, and the next right move, and the next right move. And then you forget about your surroundings. You forget about where you are. You forget about people watching at all. It feels like the world stops existing for that short moment of the game because you get so lost in your thoughts and you get so engaged in the game that everything else disappears. And that will happen to you too. The more you practice, the more lost you can get in the game and the better you will play. Because once you get lost in it, I think you definitely have experienced that with some of your other challenges or your profession. When you enjoy something so much and at the same time it challenges you that you focus a lot on it. I don't know if you heard of Csikszentmihalyi's concept of flow and mindfulness, just the way that you can be so present that the one activity you are doing is the only thing in that moment, and that can happen to you during chess games too. So I wouldn't worry too much about the viewers because the more you practice, I think the more lost you can get inside the game and in the best possible way. It's not like nothing matters for real, but for the duration of the game, you will just want to make the next good move until the game will end, and then you're back into the real world.
So when you play chess competitively,
yeah,
you go in the flow state and then you like black back in and you're like after the game is over. Is that how it feels when you're playing chess at the Olympics, or, you know, I mean, in these insane tournaments that you are a part of?
Yeah.
Tap into that?
It happens. I wish it happened always. But one classical game can last up to 4, 5, 6 hours. So I think it's very difficult to maintain that state. But you will have periods of that state when you focus so much on the position and on the given challenge of, oh, is this the right move? Is that the right move? When you start calculating and you get so lost in your thought process that you do experience flow. I think it's very difficult to experience it for a long time. So I would think that for me it happened at certain stages of the games I played, especially at high stakes, yes, chess Olympiads, and when I had someone very strong as an opponent. And when time runs out, when you're in your final minutes, time pressure, when that kicks in, I think that forces you into flow, because you need to be very efficient with every single second on the clock. So I guess it's a combination of factors, but especially toward the end of the game when you are low on time, so that you have to focus so hard that every single second is used in the best possible way, it's more likely to happen. And I do remember games where I finished the game and then I looked around and like, oh, this is where I am. Like, oh, this is how the room looks. There are people next to me, but I wasn't really seeing them because I was so lost in the game that it didn't matter that there were spectators and the captains of the opponent's team and such. So yeah, it happens. It will happen to you too. PogChamp's final match, and Michelle will be so in the game. You will be full on flow.
Okay. I'm so ready. Okay.
But honestly, don't worry. don't worry about it. I was just saying that I think once you get more practice and once you start enjoying the games too, because I want you to know that you're gonna be studying a lot and you're gonna be putting a lot of pressure on yourself. But first and foremost, chess should be fun. So no matter, even if it's a competition, you should try to see the fun side of it always. Of course, you want to do your best. Of course, you want to make the best moves, always good moves and such. But it's only okay if you're having a good time. I feel like I know this is your challenge for the next month, but I want to make sure that you remember the fun side of it, because it's a game after all.
Thank you. It's cool to know that. I feel like before you said that, my mindset was I'm working towards learning as many permutations or skills as possible. And it's interesting that what I could also be working towards is achieving that flow state, like a sense of peace.
Yeah.
Because I feel like one is very chaotic. You know, my queen situation. But also like I love that as well, as like that should be even better ultimate goal for the whole thing would be really cool.
That's amazing. We have so many goals here and all of them are really positive. So I'm very happy to be part of your journey, to be helping you a little bit on this journey. And yes, after castling, we have this situation that we were saying that it's more peaceful. Both kings are on the same side, so no crazy attacks going on at the moment. But it's all right. Not every position will be crazy. What's good is we are a knight up. You said you already have a piece up. And what's the next right move? What do you think? After developing some of your pieces and castling, what is the next plan? What's the next goal to achieve?
I feel like for some reason I should get a rook on C.
Why do you
block
think?
The queen.
Mm-hmm.
It would block the queen and the bishop and prevent any of the rooks from sneaking out.
Mm-hmm. Very good. You're thinking about preventing my pieces to get to that file. That's called an open file, right? That there are no pawns on that file. We both have traded our c pawns. And open files are great for rooks and queens because they like the open path, the open path toward the opponent's territory. So that's great. Very good thinking. Can I move my pieces to any of those squares on the c file?
You could move a bishop, but I could take the bishop safely or something.
How about my heavy pieces? Heavy pieces being the rook and the queen. Can I move any of them to the c file?
You can, but I would. Well. So, okay, if my rook goes to the c file, and you try to bring either your rook or your queen also there, I could take back, and it would be at least an equal trade.
All right, let's take a look. I'm gonna let you make that move, and
well, I didn't say it was the best,
but it's good thinking. It's good thinking, and remember that most of the positions will have a couple of good moves. It's not like there's 1 good and 10 bad. It's mostly 10 good and maybe 1 bad. Well, I guess we can always hang our queen or blunder checkmate, but we will not. So. It's mostly many good moves, many good options, and a few bad ones. So you will choose from the good ones.
Wait.
You noticed something. Tell me about it, Michelle.
Okay, so if I go there, your bishop has me in check.
What do you mean with that?
But then I take back with the bishop.
You were worried that the black bishop moves here.
Okay, maybe it's okay.
What happens? So you're worried that if the bishop comes here, what's your worry about it? What's the threat, you think?
It puts my king. Oh wait! Oh my God! I'm. Never mind. It's on a dark square.
It's okay.
We can carry on.
You thought the king was here. That's fine. But even if the king was there, what would happen? Bishop b5 would be a check if your king is here, right? What can you do to react to that check?
Bishop b5, queen b5.
Yep, you can take it. Very good, very good. So even if it was gonna be a check, if the king were on the other square, we are still not worried about it. But great that you are checking it, because that's what you should always do. You started doing it. Have you noticed? Because you were like, oh, my king. So it's good that you started thinking about this. That is my king all right? Am I safe? Very good thinking. Good job. Now you were saying that if I move any of my heavy pieces to the c file, you can make an equal trade. What happens if I move my rook here?
Okay, you move your rook there. I would take it. Oh wait.
Take your time.
Or I could take it with the bishop, but which is better? You have... Am I up? No, we both have 2 bishops and 2 rooks. Okay, so... If you move a rook there, I will take with my rook. And then you could take back with your bishop. And then I could take with my bishop, and then we just each lose 2 pieces.
Yes, so we are trading.
Doesn't really get me ahead.
Uh-huh. And what happens with the other move order? Because you were saying that if I were to move the rook to that square, you can also capture with the bishop. So which move order is better? Which capture you think is better?
Okay. If I go bishop first, you would take back with your bishop, and then I take your bishop, and you take a rook. So you would have 2 rooks and a bishop, and I would end up with 2 bishops and a rook. So is it better to have 2 rooks or 2 bishops? Probably 2 rooks so you can ladder mate.
Good that you already are aiming for the ladder checkmate. Do you know the value of the pieces? Do you know the numeric value of the pieces? Don't worry if you don't. We're gonna go through them. Amazing.
Are they not equal? Bishop and rook?
I was guessing you may not know because you were thinking hard about each. So here's what it is. This is something we can write down. A pawn is 1. A pawn is 1. So that's unfortunately the least valuable, but you know that it can become the most valuable. Well, apart from the king. The king is the objective of the game, but it can become a queen. So that's a fairy tale story. Pawns are 1. Knights and bishops are about the same value. We measure them as 3. Knight is 3, bishop is 3. Yeah. A rook is somewhat more. A rook is 5.
Okay.
And a queen...
So I should take with the bishop.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the only reason why you need to know the value. It's not like you can't play good chess if you don't put these numbers on them, but it helps you decide which trade is better. Will I give up a bishop? Will I give up my rook? If the rook is more valuable, yes, you want to take with the less valuable piece. And the queen is 9. We usually say it's 9. But when you have 2 rooks versus a queen, it's about the same value. So 2 rooks would be about 10 points. A queen is 9 or 10. There's always a debate, but just like it's about the same value. Depends on the position. It's just so that you know the rank. And that means that if I move my rook here, yes, you want to take with the bishop because you are giving up something that's worth 3 points. And I'm giving up something that's worth 5. So it's not a good business for me, not a good deal. Right? It's not like the game is over. It doesn't make the game finish immediately. But again, I'm going for trades that aren't in my favor. You already were a piece up. You had an extra knight. And now, after capturing my rook for a bishop, I take back with the bishop. What remains on the board? What do you have as extra material here?
Okay, so I'm up a rook.
Up a rook? You keep increasing your advantage. So it's kind of like a snowball, and we are building a snowman. Out of the tiny snowball, we are increasing the advantage. We want a bigger and bigger and bigger ball until it's checkmate. So when we complete our snowball, that will be checkmate.
Okay.
Excellent. I wasn't originally gonna play that move, but I'm gonna stick to it because there's no take back. So your turn, Michelle.
Okay. Well, now I don't know if I should even. Oh, I do need to take this.
Do you? Then...
Well, you have okay, you have 2 bishops and a rook, but I have 2 rooks and a bishop. And if I capture the bishop, we become even. Right?
From the last trades, yes, because you have just taken a rook for a bishop, and now if you give up your rook for my bishop, we end up having traded. Yes. So do you want to? Do you want to take it?
No.
Good answer.
Okay. What now? All right. So you moved your bishop in, which opens up this diagonal.
So I'm no longer guarding the diagonal, right? That's what you mean.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes. However, this knight is still doing this thing. Very good thinking. That you're again comparing what has changed in the position. So my bishop is no longer guarding this diagonal. Sometimes it will matter, sometimes it will not. But we are just trying to get used to this way of thinking. Earlier the bishop was here, so that the queen was blocked by that bishop in this direction. Now it's not. So if there was something going on this square, for instance, the queen could take it.
That's another difference.
Okay.
It guards these squares. The queen is now doing somewhat more on that file. Again, these sometimes are very subtle and they don't make any difference in your plan. Other times you can exploit what has changed. So how do you see this? Do you think there's something wrong? Is there anything wrong with my move? Is there anything I'm threatening? Always pay attention, of course, to those. And if nothing is being threatened, if there's nothing going on against your pieces or your king, which is the number one thing we look at, then you can go forward with your plan. And your plan is, what's your plan here?
My plan. Okay, so this is, I don't know if this is also weird or crazy. I was thinking, well, here.
So you're looking at that
Never
move
mind.
because, what was your idea? I just want to understand fully the thinking behind it.
My idea was, if my knight is here,
Yeah.
it is forking these pawns, and I don't know if the king couldn't go there. I don't know. I am not developed. Well, I don't know if this does anything, but I could. No, I can't do that. I feel like this is an example of, like, during the game, I'm not really sure, like, if I'm not making a move to make an immediate threat, would it, you know, what can I do?
Sure. Let me help you a little bit with this, because this often happens too at the beginning of one's chess career, that you're a bit lost after you have made your opening, because the opening is probably something you learned. Then you castle, so we are happy that our king is safer. And then the next idea, the next plan, the next thing to do usually is to develop the rest of your pieces. And why it's important to develop, first of all, which pieces are undeveloped here? Can you highlight them?
My rooks and my knight back here.
Yeah. Why do you think it's important to develop every piece? And
So you have a full arsenal?
yeah, exactly. 1 second, Michelle. I just want to make sure that the viewers who are joining us from Chess Queen is a former women's world chess champion, and she has just raided my channel. But I want to make sure they also get to know you, because Michelle is my student and PogChamp 3 participant. Michelle, can you tell the new viewers about your chess journey? What is your challenge for this month?
Oh, hello, Chess Queen friends and family. For anyone who's now joining on my stream or Anna's, my name is Michelle. On my YouTube channel, I take on challenges in every episode, and I like dive into different communities, lifestyles, and professions. So I've done a lot of different stuff, like going to Firefighter Academy or Marine Boot Camp. And this month I'm going to be training chess with the best, obviously, in anticipation of PogChamp 3.
I can't wait to be helping you, Michelle. And again, this is just such an inspiring journey, and that you do this every single month. A new challenge, and for this month's training as hard as possible to become as good as possible at chess within a month. So we're gonna see. You started from knowing how the pieces move. I think that was where you started. You knew how the chess pieces move, but you never took a chess lesson before you signed up for this challenge, I think. Is that correct? That's where you started. You knew how you even didn't know how the chess pieces move?
Oh, I knew like they moved. I
Okay.
knew
I mean, it doesn't change much, because even if you know how the chess pieces move, it doesn't really help that much. It doesn't mean that you know how to give checkmate. It doesn't mean you know how to win a chess game. So basically, from zero to hero is what we are aiming for. Starting out just now with chess and becoming a PogChamps 3 champion. That's the goal.
Yay.
Thank you again for the raid, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this lesson. Michelle, here we were talking about development. Sorry that I had to interrupt your thought process there for a second.
Of course.
So we were saying that the rook and the knight are undeveloped, right? And you were just explaining why is it important to develop all your pieces. So you want your full army. You want to make sure that you use all your pieces, because the more pieces you are using in your attack, the more successful it will be, the more likely that you will succeed with your checkmate attack, or with, if it's an endgame, then getting that passed pawn and promoting it into a queen. The more pieces are helping you, the more likely that your plan will succeed. So it's about teamwork on the chessboard too. And that knight move is great. Why that knight move?
Because I guess it's technically part of the London.
Yeah. Again, feel free to also deviate from what you learn, but that's a good square. It's much better than going to the edge of the board. And I think you didn't want your knight here because that would have been... Were you comparing these two squares, or is it just that you wanted the London?
Well, I could go there. I'm neutral.
Okay, you like both. Okay, both of them are fine.
Oh, wait, no, wait, hold on. Hold the drama.
Yes.
Jojo Siwa, hold the drama. Okay, the knight can't go to c3 because it blocks in the rook.
Yeah, I was thinking that perhaps you chose this move as opposed to this one because you didn't want to block your rook. So that could be a reason for choosing one or the other. Or if you choose this one, then in the near future, you will want to move the knight again to open up that path for the rook. So it's okay.
I guess I could, and then I could attack their pawn.
Ooh.
And then the bishop. Right?
Michelle sees an attack again. I love how you always search for threats. Like, what can I capture? What can I take? Good. Very good. Excellent. So this actually is good, right? Because it's a temporary way of blocking our rook, but we have a path. We have an idea. Good thinking. Let me try to develop my pieces too, because I heard I need to move mine as well. Maybe I can't move them as efficiently. I'm gonna move the queen here and see what you think of it.
Okay. So if you go there, you might be trying to, well, oh wait, hold. I think you are trying to, oh, sorry, my camera.
No worries.
It shuts off every 30 minutes. Okay. You're probably trying to go around here to avoid my bishop. And then, well, actually, I'm not sure.
Sometimes that will be the right answer. Remember that your opponents, most of them are beginners, or even if they are more experienced, they can too make random moves. We don't always make the right move, or even if it's not a mistake. So this move doesn't blunder my queen. It's not hanging. I have not made any big mistakes by making this move, but it doesn't mean that it makes much sense. Sometimes it will make sense, sometimes it will not. Don't worry, you will always try to understand my move, but don't worry if you don't understand it. If you don't understand it, it could mean that it's not the best.
Okay. So if you go there, oh, it blocks my knight.
Does it?
From going to the original square I had planned. Oh, I guess I could go knight a4. No, because then I would get captured there. Okay.
So you're saying...
Wait, no, I protected.
Good, yes. I was gonna ask you on that again, because you said I'm blocking it, but you realized that you're supporting your knight with the queen, right? So that's again a good idea to, if you want to go there with the knight, you can, because I may think, oh, free knight, and I take it, and you're gonna capture my queen. This could be a semi-bait. There will be moments in your games when you want to go for a bait, and your opponents too will try to go for baits. I always say, especially since you want to learn the game as best as you can, I think if you see a bait so that there's like, oh, this is like, oh, if they take it, I'm winning more pieces, or like I'm winning their queen, maybe they don't realize. But I would only recommend it to you that you go for something like this if the move is good, even without the capture. So of course we want the opponent to take it with the queen, because that's bad for them. But even if they don't fall for it, even if they don't take your knight, it still is a good square for your knight. So you're winning no matter what. You will either win their queen if they fall for it, but if they don't fall for it, it still is a good move. So I wouldn't suggest baits that are placing your pieces in awkward situations where it only makes sense if they fall for a trap that you set. So I think you should not do that, because you want to be very good at chess. Beginners do that a lot because they want to win material. They want to win a queen, they want to win a rook, and sometimes they think the only way for that is if they go for baits. They set a trap and they hope that the opponent falls for it. It's okay to set traps, but do it in a way that the move makes sense even if they don't fall for it. So this is good.
Think going there is not a good idea? Oh, it is?
No.
Is it?
I'm saying it's good, and we're gonna compare it. So I'm gonna show you this, and I'm gonna show you this, because you were also looking at this move. I would say this is a bait, because you want me to take, but if I don't take, what is this knight doing there?
Nothing, because even if I captured the pawn, their pawn would take me back.
Yeah, so you can't capture my pawn. Can you jump here? Would that be a good follow-up for you?
No.
No. So this would be a move that's purely based on you hope the opponent will take it, right?
Yeah.
But this move,
got it.
You of course want the opponent to take it, because that would be great. Then you have a queen up. But even if they don't take it, your move still makes sense, right? Because that knight is standing well on that square. It's not on the edge of the board. Where can it go? If I were to attack this knight, where would you go with it?
I could still go to this. No. I didn't think this through, because even if I take the pawn, then the queen just takes me.
Yeah, so the pawn was not hanging, right? First of all.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that the move didn't make sense, because you're opening up the rook's file. Remember that we moved the knight here to develop, but it was more of a temporary base for the knight, and we wanted to jump away. Even if you can't take the pawn, it made sense to jump away because the rook has opened up. Remember how we always need to see how the pieces interact and what changes in the position. So the knight jump, yes, it puts pressure on the pawn, and if my queen moved away, then you can take the pawn, for instance, but it also opened your rook. So it was a multi-purpose move in a way. You improve your knight, and you also improve your rook. Now if I were to attack the knight, let's see where would it make sense to place this knight.
Would I just have to retreat?
You could retreat.
I can go here because it's protected by the bishop.
Let's think about it. We're gonna visualize that move. I would like you to think about that move. Is this a good move or a bad move? Let's see if it's safe.
How much is each? Okay, we're 3. I think it's a bad move.
Why is it a bad move? What happens there? Can you tell me the follow-up? What would black do after knight to d6?
They could take with their bishop, and then I take back with mine, but then their queen takes me.
Yes, so overall, how many pieces black has taken? How many minor pieces?
In this situation?
Yeah, if you were to move the knight there.
6 points.
Yeah. And you are taking how many points?
Probably 3.
3, so not a good deal. But it's how you should be thinking. You were thinking, can I jump here? Can I jump here? And then you double check. So very important that you notice before moving the knight there that it's not safe. So that's what you're gonna constantly do in your games too. You have an idea and then you try to see whether it's a good or bad move. What other squares are there for the knight?
I mean, it could go back to c3. It could go a3.
Mm-hmm. Do you like this square for the knight? What do you think about this move?
Or, wait, hold on.
Yeah?
If it goes here, it's protected by the rook.
True.
So I could go here and they could just leave me alone. I think
That's an option for sure, yeah. When you look at this move, this square for the knight, is that an attractive square for the knight? Is it where we would love to have it? We are super excited about having the knight on a3.
no.
No, we are not. We could come back, that's safe for sure, but then it feels a bit like maybe we wasted time. The funny thing about it though is that even if you had to come back, we're gonna search for a better move than this, but I want you to understand one thing about chess that's basic at the same time not natural, that pawns don't go backwards, which means that sometimes, even if it means that you have to retreat your piece, there will be cases where it makes sense that you try to provoke the opponent to push their pawn, chase you away, you come back. They cannot go back. So they cannot put the pawn back where it was. And if it means that it weakens their structure, especially in front of the king, so this will happen mostly on the other side of the board. If you had your knight here, well, wait 1 second here, because you were looking at this move too. Like h6 is still normal, but if my piece, the problem is this position is not the best for that, but let me, wait, how do I do this? Ignore what I'm doing. Just don't look at my moves. This is totally not the position. But I'm just trying to show a quick example. So let's say, man, it shouldn't be hanging. Again, ignore me. Let's say you get a situation like this, and that your knight is coming from there. You jump here. So let's say, for instance, you make a move like this, and even if you know, oh man, it's the problem is I need to modify so many things that 1 second, it's tricky. How do I do this so that it makes more sense? This, okay. Again, apologies for how we got here. This doesn't make any sense in relation to our game. But just a quick example, that sometimes, even if you know that your piece will be forced back. So let's say from here, you jump here with the knight. And even if you know that after this pawn push, you have to come back, it still may make sense because I cannot go backwards with my pawn. And these are the bodyguards. So the further the bodyguards are from the king, the more vulnerable my king becomes. So sometimes these type of moves make sense because of the rule that the pawns cannot go backwards. I wish I could put it back here. I want it to be here. I want my pawns to be near my king and not here. So it's not something that's an immediate disaster. It's not like black is getting checkmated instantly, but in a couple of moves, I'm gonna be wishing that the pawn wasn't advanced. I'm gonna be wishing that it was back where it used to. So sometimes this is more advanced, but sometimes you will do those kind of moves even if you have to come back, because the pawns, they don't go back. You can come back with your piece, they cannot.
Okay.
Again, that was just a very separated example, and let's come back to this because it's gonna be too confusing if I jump back and forth. We were here and we were discussing where to move with the knight. Sorry. Jeez, I clicked on the wrong one. Wait a second. Now I messed it up for you. Apologies. Knight b5.
Yeah, so then I think you're the pawn. Yeah. So
Yeah.
now I have to move.
So we were just discussing that even this move sometimes would make sense if you think that the structure for black is worse, with the pawn here instead of there. So,
Okay.
but you don't always have to go backwards. And one thing that you can think about when your piece is hanging or when you spot a threat, these are two things that you should think about. You see the threat and then you are like, okay, what shall I do to prevent it? In this case, what shall I do to not lose my knight? You don't want the knight to be captured, right? So it's either that you move the piece away to stop the threat from existing, that the knight is no longer hanging, or you create a bigger threat. So
Like a check.
like
Or
a
queen.
exactly. So very important that you notice the threat and you can think about the more defensive way of reacting to it is to come back, for instance, or to move the knight somewhere where it's not hanging. So that's my knight is hanging, I move it. That's
Wait,
good to think about. Yeah.
could I? Oh, I guess that's not a good idea either. I was thinking once you said that, what if I moved my rook to c7,
Yeah.
then the queen has, and I have that bishop on that diagonal.
You want the rook here because it would be attacking the queen and the bishop on the same rank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're attacking a queen, that's a bigger value piece than the one that's hanging, my knight, right? So if you move the rook here, I'm not really interested in capturing the knight anymore. I should not be because you're gonna take something more valuable.
Yeah.
Good thinking. Now something else.
But I don't know if it works.
Yeah, why do you think it may not work? I want you to think about this move.
Okay. So if I move my rook there,
Yeah.
the queen cannot capture me because I'm protected by the bishop. It can't go down because to c6 because I can take it. And it can't go to d7 because I can take it. So the queen would just move up and then I would have to capture one of the bishops and then get recaptured anyways.
You're saying that once the rook is here and the queen moves away, you can take the bishop, but you're not interested because your rook is more valuable than the bishop, right?
Yeah.
Is it forced though? Is it forced to take it? Or can you just keep the rook here?
I guess I could keep the rook there. Oh my god, and it's protected by my knight, too. Which I just noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Do you
Yeah?
think your rook is
that
standing?
crazy?
Do you think your rook is standing well here? Do you think it's an active piece and a good attacking piece?
Yeah.
It is. It is. We have a term for this. Well, it's not like it has a special name, but a rook on the 7th, so the 7th being the 7th rank, or from black's perspective, a rook on the 2nd is something that you will try to achieve. You will try to, with rooks, there are two things you oftentimes will aim for. To get them to the 7th or 2nd rank, depending on which color you play with, and to double them. I think you've already seen when the rooks are stacked, when they are on the same file or same rank, they're supporting each other and they basically increase the power of each other by supporting each other. Why do you think a rook on the 7th is strong? Can you see why this rook is doing well here? If not,
Because it's trapping that king in there.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah. Oftentimes the king is on the back rank, right? Meaning the 8th or the 1st rank. And that, as you said, it would mean in an endgame that the king cannot run away because your rook is cutting it. Many of the pawns are on the 7th rank, so oftentimes this will mean you are attacking pawns directly or indirectly. couple of pieces could be on the 7th rank too. So it's against the king, and oftentimes it will also involve attacking a lot of the opponent's pieces or pawns directly or indirectly. And apart from that, whether you're attacking or not attacking them, you're restricting my pieces a lot. Like, I cannot move my queen here because you're gonna capture me. I cannot move my bishop here because you're gonna capture me. So you're in the belly of my position. You've entered my camp, and you're blocking a lot of options from me. You are restricting my mobility.
Okay.
So it's really cool to have the rook there. And you did it with a move that was a tempo. We call it a tempo when you are winning time, basically, because you didn't just move the rook there, you were threatening a queen. So you're winning time with a move like this, forcing moves.
And you're winning time because they're gonna have to think more about.
You're winning time on the board. Hopefully you will win time on the clock too. So that's a good
Wait, what is winning time on the board? How is that different from winning time on the clock?
Yeah, let me explain.
There are 2 times?
Yes. There's like multiple universes, and time is a concept. Yeah, so time on the clock matters. As Levi was telling you, you will try to play the opening quickly so that then you have a pocket of 8 minutes for the middle game and such. I think he was already explaining to you that we're gonna be very smart. We're gonna have to be very smart and efficient with time usage. But I'm gonna tell you more about time on the chessboard. And that is when you make a forcing move, and forcing moves are checks, captures, and threats. So if you give me a check, I have to respond to the check. If you threaten my queen, most likely I have to move my queen. If you capture a piece of mine, very likely I have to take back if I can. If I can take back, I'm gonna probably take back. So forcing moves are types of moves that kind of guide the response I have. I think limit would be a better term for it, because if I'm in a check, I have to move my king, or I have to put a piece in between as a shield, or I have to capture the piece that's giving me checks. So it's not like I can do whatever I want. So forcing moves are a category of moves that are some of the strongest. When you give a check, when you capture something, or when you threaten something, I'm limited to a few options, a handful of options. And in this case, if you move the rook to the 7th, so let me again just modify the position. Apologies, this will not make too much sense, but you could move the rook to the 7th in a normal position, and that will make sense too. If it's improving your rook, it will make sense to make this move, right? It's not attacking anything directly except for the bishop, but we don't really want to take the bishop because the rook is worth more than the bishop, and this you already know. So let's compare this to the game. Like in this situation, you're moving the rook to the 7th, and you know that it's a cool place to be, the rook on the 7th. So you want to make this move, and it's a good move. So this is good, but it's not winning time. If you can make good moves by winning time, and by winning time on the chessboard, it means that you place your rook there while attacking my queen, and if I have to move my queen, your rook is already there, and I haven't made progress in my situation. I haven't improved my pieces, and you have. So you want time because you made a move that benefits you, and I had to respond with a move that doesn't benefit my pieces. You want to improve your pieces constantly. You want to improve, meaning that you are increasing their potential. All the pieces, when they start out, they are on the back rank. Their potential isn't very high when they are standing on the back rank, so you want to develop them, and then you want to keep making further progress by making them even more powerful, even more attacking, so to say. And if you can increase the potential of your pieces while decreasing the potential of my pieces, because my queen is not doing very well, is it? It's not really attacking. It's trying to attack your rook, but you are guarding it with many pieces. So I have not made progress when it comes to my pieces, and you have, and it's your turn again. That's why it wins time, because you made a move that you want to make. This is a move that benefits your rook. Your situation is just getting better, and it's your turn again. It's as if I don't know, would it make sense in ball games? It's just that the ball has bounced back to your court again, whether you're playing tennis or any ball games. It's again on your side, and it's again your turn to strike because they had to respond to your move, and they couldn't really do anything but to be on the defensive in a way. So forcing moves usually create this situation. This may not have been the best explanation, so feel free to ask about this, because time on the chessboard is a bit confusing. But you have one turn each, and yes, they have used their turn, but it depends on how well you use that turn, whether it shows on the board. Like you could be making moves that make absolutely no sense. If I keep pushing pawns on the flank. Okay, let's just make that knight not hang. If I keep making moves, for instance, these flank pawn pushes or anything like that, while you are developing your pieces and you're bringing them closer to my pieces, then I'm making absolutely no progress in reality. So I will always have a turn, and you will always have your turn. But if you use your turn a lot wiser than your opponent, then you are winning time, because you are using your time units to increase the potential of your pieces, to make progress with your pieces.
Like being ahead on the class project.
Yes, absolutely.
Instead of pulling it all-nighter the night before, right?
Yes, exactly. So you have 10 days for that class project, and every day you are working toward the class project, and you're not pulling an all-nighter because you have been using your time a lot wiser. I think that's a good example. That's a good comparison. But feel free to ask, because I know this is confusing, because Black will always be making moves too. It's not that they skip their turn, but they don't use their turn as efficiently as you.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, one thing that we need to calculate, though, is that after a6, rook here. So this is a good move because it attacks a piece of a higher value than the piece that's hanging, right? Your knight is hanging, but you're attacking a piece of higher value. So it's in principle a good move, but you always need to take into account whether the piece that you are attacking could capture the piece that was hanging in your position.
No! Well, I'm protected by the queen. Wouldn't I just take back?
Let's see. So this is either
and then their pawn.
This is either a blunder or you're a genius. And I think it's gonna be the latter, but we're gonna have to figure it out.
Okay. Because, if their queen comes back... Okay. Wait, so your move is to go queen d8? Is that correct?
I'm asking you if we have just made a big mistake, because even though you created a bigger threat, that queen can run away from being captured by capturing the piece that Black wanted to take. So instead of them capturing your knight with the pawn, which was their initial idea, they could take it with the queen, and that means you no longer can take my queen, and I have captured your knight. So is this a mistake, this rook move? Do you think it's a mistake?
Yes, because they get a knight and a queen, and I only get... Well, okay. If I go there, if they take the knight, I take back, they take with their pawn, then my rook can take their bishop on e7.
Whoa.
So we end up...
Yes, keep going.
Okay, so then we end up with a bishop and a queen, and they only end up with a queen and a knight. Oh, but that's the same.
Is that something that benefits you?
I guess it benefits me because then my rook... Sorry.
No worries.
Why is it... okay, I'm back. Then my rook is still on the 7th file, and it's not being attacked.
And when it comes to how is it in material, this position before the trades, just any previous moment when nothing is hanging, what was the material count?
Oh no, why is my camera? Sorry.
Don't worry. Take your time.
Huh. It just keeps taking pictures of me. Hold on. Oh no. What's going on? Okay.
I think you're back.
Please work.
I think you're back.
Okay, good. I hope it stays this way. Okay, so material. I'm up a knight still. Even rooks, but they're up a bishop.
Let's do this one more time. Compare what black has, what white has. Because it's been a lot of back and forth, so you may be confused because of the other examples.
I know, my head. Okay.
Take it as a fresh position and just compare what do we have on the board each. Count what's on the board.
Okay. We each have a queen.
Yep.
They're up a bishop. I'm up a rook. Equal in knights.
Are you equal in knights?
Oh, no, I'm up a knight. I'm up a knight too.
So you said they are up a bishop and you're up a knight. For the sake of simplicity, you can also consider those as they equal each other out, because both the bishop and the knight are 3 points. So even if they have a bishop, you have a knight extra, it kind of is the same in value. That means that the only thing that's different in the position when it comes to material is
pawns. Pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. No, we're even in pawns.
I think you said it, but you forgot it. So let's just do it one more time, real quick.
Okay. We each have a queen.
Yeah?
I'm up a knight. And no, we're equal in the knight bishop situation.
Yeah?
Technically.
Yes?
And I'm up a rook.
You're up a rook, yes. You're up a rook. That's great.
Okay.
It's great to be up a rook. Amazing. And one thing that can help you, I don't think you noticed, so I'm gonna tell you that you see where it says white and black? Normally that would be your name there.
Oh, I'm up 5. Okay.
Yeah. I know that you weren't looking at it. But imagine you only have like a few seconds left and you just want to double check, like, oh, am I still up in material? You can just look at that number. So the number tells you there the value of which you're up with. So it's a rook up, meaning +5. Now, if you're up a rook, in general, do you want to make equal trades?
No.
No?
Yes?
Yes?
Yes, because I'm still winning, right?
Yes, you do. So remember this, when you're up material, simplifying the position, we call it simplification, simplifying when you go for equal trades. So of course we prefer trades where they give a queen for our rook, or they give us a rook for our pawn. Those are even better when you gain from the trade. But even if you only can go for equal trades, it still benefits you because of what we looked at earlier. We didn't physically look at it, but I asked you what happens if you take away all the pieces. We trade the queen for the queen, we trade the rook for the rook, we trade the bishops for each other, we trade one of their bishops for our knights. So pieces of equal value you trade, and what's left on the board in that case would be one rook for you, lots of pawns, and the king, and they only have pawns and king. So whenever you are up material, you should remember that you actually don't mind equal trades. If anything, you probably will try to go and force trades, because the more you trade, the closer you are to a situation where your rook will eat all their pawns, and then you have a passed pawn and you promote it to a queen. So it's not only the rook that will be left for you, because you will use that rook to capture their pawns, and you already know how to promote a pawn, so you're gonna end up having most likely a rook and a queen. And they cannot do the same with the king and pawns. Does that make sense? Even if we don't see it on the board, I can also try to show it.
Oh, I think that makes sense. I think yes. Okay, wait, but just to clarify, in this situation, so your pawn would go to a6, and my rook goes to c7. If your queen takes, my queen takes back, your pawn takes my queen, and then my rook goes to e7.
Yeah.
And is not threatened.
Very good that you double check that it's not threatened. And after all this was very complex and messy, and I'm really proud of you that you saw all of it, that you calculated it, and you ended up realizing that you can take the bishop at the end of the line, and it causes an equal trade of pieces. And,
which is good.
And now we know it's good. So
okay.
Actually, your move was not a blunder. It was a brilliant idea, because this capture leads to a long line of captures. We have traded many things, but you're getting closer and closer to a situation where you're the only one with a rook and they don't have anything else. Even if they have something, like it's not like you have to trade all of their pieces, but that's the direction. We are aiming for it, because that scenario will be terrible for them. With only king and pawns, you can barely do anything. Until they have a knight, maybe they can hope for a fork that will capture your rook. Until they have a bishop, maybe they can hope that you will move the rook to a wrong square and they can capture it with the bishop. But the pawns are the least valuable, and the king is the one that's the objective of the game. So if you're left with nothing but king and pawns, most of the times, it's a very, very sad situation for the opponent. And unfortunately, we need to make them sad. So that's what we're aiming for.
Okay. Okay, so I guess I will I proceed with this.
Very good, very good. What to remember from this situation is that you can retreat. It's fine to retreat. You don't have to go for a counterattack. We call this a counterattack when, so this was hanging, but you're ignoring it because you go for a bigger threat. You are creating a bigger threat. So this is what we were discussing, that when there's a threat, you can react. You either react to the threat or you create a bigger threat. And you yourself said, oh, I could give a check. I could attack the opponent's queen. So those are bigger threats than your knight hanging. That's very good thinking. So think of threats like this. You either react to their threat or you create a bigger one. Bigger or equal. So equal threat would be that you attack their knight too, but the bigger the threat, of course, the better.
Okay, yes. Yeah, we talked about that earlier today as well. Okay, yeah. Okay,
I know it's a lot of information all at once, so always ask, and we're gonna go through everything again, because I know how it feels when this is all thrown at you, and it's like at the end of the day you will be like, okay, so the knight moves in L shape, right? Like, so it's just gonna question even the more basic things. So feel free to ask, and we are here to help all the time, and we're gonna repeat this a lot of times. So it's not the first time you hear it, not the last time.
Okay.
I mean, first time, yeah, but not the last time. See, I already don't know what I'm talking about.
I had a dream. I've been having chess dreams. Like, I literally woke up this morning and I was like, knight, whatever.
You're kidding.
I could so clearly, like, I was outside looking at a board playing against someone.
We've achieved what we wanted. You're already thinking about chess 24/7, dreaming about chess. That's brilliant. I hope it will not be a nightmare.
Really cool too. Like they weren't they weren't standard pieces. They were like, I don't know, they looked like carved out of rocks or something. It looked really cool. I should try and find those pieces now.
Oh, I'm sure there will be something similar. There are so many different materials used for chessboards. Imagine you find your dream chess set literally from your dream. That's so cool, though.
Oh, that'd be so interesting.
Did you see the position in your dream? Or were you thinking of some, like you said, the knight move? Do you remember what else was on the board?
I think it was like at the very beginning of the game, and I think I was playing black, and I moved my knight to like F3 or whatever. I don't even know. Yeah. Whatever it is.
I'm
I
impressed.
made like one move and then I woke up and I was like, oh my god.
That's amazing. I mean, this just goes to show how much effort you're putting into it, because your subconscious keeps thinking about chess. I hope it will never be a nightmare. I hope it will always be pleasant dreams.
Me too.
Shall we proceed with this, or do you have any
Yes.
more questions? Again, feel free to always pause it, go back, ask. I know it's a lot.
I think I'm pretty good.
Amazing, amazing. So you created a bigger thread than the thread that Black had, but always make sure that, even though this is great, this is a great idea to have a stronger threat, but just double check that the piece you are threatening cannot go and capture the other one.
Right.
Or if they can, as in this case, it still is not a problem, because you do trade the queens and you do end up taking the bishop. That bishop used to be guarded by the queen, but after the queen is gone, there's no one else helping the bishop. There's no one protecting the bishop. And you said your rook is not hanging there. That's great. You said your rook is still on the 7th, which is where we want to be. That's where the cool rooks are hanging out, on the 7th. Very good. Amazing. And this is an endgame now, so I'm gonna have to struggle a lot. And what I was trying to explain earlier about the trades, I think soon we will see that on the board. So I'm gonna try to develop my pieces. Emphasis on try. And again, I want you to go back to that systematic thinking where you check, what is my move doing? Am I threatening something? What has changed in the position?
Okay. So you moved your bishop to a6. Potentially because I can move my rook to c1 to threaten it on the next move. I was thinking about that, maybe.
Good that you were thinking about this move earlier. Amazing.
Yeah, I feel like the move is just to get out of the weeds.
Very good.
And assuming that you will probably push your b5 pawn forward in a near future move. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm gonna move my rook to c1 again. Just to get it ready to also develop. Or I think now that it's gone, can I do something else? I could also move my knight to e5 to sort of set up to go, I don't know, e7. That doesn't really work because the rook will just move around. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go rook c1.
That's a great move, because your rook, that's the only piece that you have not developed yet, right? It's still on the initial square. And you have chosen a much better square for it, because now it has a free path. There's no pawns on the c5, so you want the rook to be on open files, as we were saying earlier. Very good. This is good thinking. I'm gonna move my rook too, but now I'm thinking, if I move my rook here, I think Michelle wants to trade because she's up a rook, so I'm gonna try to keep my rook on the board. I'm gonna move here. Let's again think of this in a systematic way. Am I creating a threat, and what has changed?
You are not creating an immediate threat.
Good.
I think you are also just getting ready to move it forward somehow.
Because it was behind my pawns here, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Just
make
get it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So once you have developed all your pieces, oftentimes it will be in the middle game. I think you know that in chess we have 3 stages of the game: the opening phase, the middle game, and the end game. Most of the times when you develop all your pieces, it will still be the middle game. There will be queens on the board and lots of pieces. In this game we have traded, but whether it's middle game or pretty much end game, and end game, the line between middle game and end game is not always a clear-cut line that, hey, this is like, it's not like you need to show your passport and you're going to another country. It oftentimes, maybe some people would call this still a middle game, others like myself, I would say this is already an end game. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that once you have developed all your pieces, the next thing to do with your pieces is to make them even more powerful. So it's one thing that you have developed the knight, one thing that you have developed the bishop, one thing you've developed the rooks, but once they are out of their initial positions, you want to keep increasing their potential. What do you think that means? Yeah, it means moves like that. I think you understand what it means. I think you understand what it means to keep increasing their potential.
That just came to mind because I was like, if I go here, they'll just move a pawn forward and I don't know, do something there. But if I go here, then at least I don't know, it moves forward. Oh. And it threatens this pawn.
Amazing.
Which if I take, they can't take back. And then I threaten the rook if it hasn't moved by then.
Very good. So you not only have found a move that makes your pieces go forward, which is what we want. That's how you increase their potential. You go forward most of the cases. Forward, toward the center, toward the king. Those are good directions. You also have spotted that the pawn will be hanging, and then if you capture the pawn, the rook will be hanging. Very good thinking. Let's go for it. Let's do it.
Action.
Action it is. Tell me a move that could guard that pawn for me. How can I defend it? Let's say I notice what you want. Let's say I realize you want to take my pawn, either with the knight or the rook. How can I defend it? What can I do about this?
You can move your rook back. Or... Oh my gosh. Right. You can move the rook back to f8. You can... Can your knight go anywhere? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. So I have very limited options, right?
Okay.
You're struggling to find moves for me because I have very limited options. And again, when we were talking about time, this is that kind of situation too. You're making a move that's progress for you. Your piece is going forward, it's attacking, and I have to make a move that goes back to where it was. So this is another one of those situations when you are, in a way, winning time, because you are making a forcing move that makes me go back to where I came from. So it kind of feels like I'm back to square one with the rook. My rook was there 2 moves ago, and now it's back on that square. I made 0 progress, and you have improved your situation. This is what you will want to be doing. You want to be increasing the potential of your pieces, going forward, developing them and making further and further progress. And you want to achieve the opposite for my pieces. You want to decrease the potential of my pieces by forcing me back to squares I don't want to go to. But if something is threatened, it's not like I want to go back, I have to. If I don't, you will take it. So I have 2 options. I either give you the pawn or I go passive. We call this a passive move because this rook is clearly not happy here. It would have a sad emoji on it if it had a sticker.
Okay.
So very good job spotting that move. And now we're gonna keep going. You have a target already. You targeted this pawn, and that's a good spot to target because it's close to the king. So after all, we want to get to the king somehow. Is there a way in which you can increase your attack over this pawn? Because right now, if you take, what happens if you take everything on f7?
Okay, so if I go knight here, the rook takes Then I take back with my rook. Then their king comes in. So they get a knight and a rook, and all I get is a pawn.
Yeah. So it's not a good trade, is it?
No.
Now, in a scenario like this, you want to keep increasing the pressure over that spot if you can. Sometimes there will be a way to do it. Other times there will be not. If there's no way of increasing it, you're gonna search for another target, something else to attack. But if there's a way to keep making progress here, you should try to do that, because you already started that attack and you can keep going possibly if you find a way. Let's see if you find a way.
Okay. I don't know if this does that, but if I go rook c6, I could on the next move get this pawn.
Yeah, you're looking at the other pawn, right?
Yeah.
That's great too. So these are two things you can do. You either keep going and try to bring even more pieces to the attack of that pawn, or you search for another target, and that's what you've done. And that's great too, because you're right. My rook is busy here. My rook and king are busy trying to guard this pawn. It means that I can't really move away with the rook, because then I'm giving up this one. I cannot do both. Mm-hmm. So the more threats you create, the more likely it is that I'm gonna run out of options of defending everything. I cannot multitask. That rook is already busy on the other side of the board. So this is a great move, very good thinking. Another good move would be, and this is just so that we understand a little more the term about the rook being very happy on the 7th rank. So it's a cool place to be for the rook. Even cooler if you have 2 rooks on the 7th. What would that look like?
Okay, so if I go rook c7, then black makes a move. Mm-hmm. And then if I move forward with this, okay, hold on.
You can do it, Michelle. You can do it. Okay. I know, it's a lot.
I go here. Black makes a move. I go here first, because a knight is worth less than a rook, so I could lose that one sooner.
Uh-huh.
Then they will take back with the rook.
Mm-hmm.
Then I will take... and they can't take back because I have backup!
You have backup! Exactly! The 2 rooks together.
And then it's ladder mate!
Yes! Right? it could well lead to a ladder mate. Yes! The dream! A ladder checkmate. Excellent! So your move is great. I don't want to correct your move because that's a great one. But this is just so that you understand the concept of something that doesn't even have a separate name. I think it should have a name. Maybe you will be the one, Michelle, who gives a name to this.
Is it not called battery?
Yeah, you're right. But the battery can be many different things. It could be a queen and a bishop. It could be the 2 rooks. I feel like the 2 rooks, 1 rook or 2 rooks on the 7th. Like the rook on the 7th doesn't have a separate name, but a rook on the 7th. Like that's such a lame name. Like, of course, no one cares. That's not how cool kids are called. A rook on the 7th.
Castlemania.
Castlemania. I like that a lot more. So Castlemania is when the rook is on the 7th, and when you bring a second one, then you double down on Castlemania. This is a double Castlemania. I love it. I love it.
Someone in my chat just said it's called winning.
I like it. I like it. I wish it was always immediately winning, but it's a step toward. It's a step toward winning. because it's super annoying. It's very annoying to have two of your rooks. So these are two of your almost most valuable piece. Next to the queen, the rooks are the second most valuable. You have two of those very important pieces close to my king. I'm shivering. I'm terrified. They're staring at my king. This is bad. This is getting worse and worse because you are now doubling down on the Castlemania. This is terrifying.
Yeah.
Very good job. Very good job, Michelle. But again,
so that's my move.
Again, your move would have been good too. So I don't want you to feel like your move was not good. Maybe that's even better because once you take the pawn, my bishop is hanging. So there's many things that you can look at the board, and oftentimes, as I said, there will be a couple of good moves. This is just so that we understand more why the rooks on the 7 are so important and so powerful. And so it's good for the attack and also good for restricting my pieces. I cannot move back with the bishop because you're gonna capture me, right? I can't really go here. I can't move here to the knight because, again, so many of your pieces will capture me. I'm very restricted on what I can do. And is there a way for me to guard this with another piece? I want to. Can I? Can I defend this?
You can move your knight
to here.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing with this arrow. Sorry. Yeah. Actually, no. Never mind. I don't know if there is. Is there?
What do you think?
No.
I don't have a way.
Okay.
I don't have a way. I'm gonna try to be tricky and make this move in case it can make you fall into a mistake. Maybe you'll not react to my move correctly. What am I doing? What's my move doing here?
You're threatening my rook on c7.
Mm-hmm. So does it mean you can still take this pawn, or does it mean you need to react to my threat?
I think I do need to react because when I move here, it won't be a check.
Good. Very good.
Okay, so I'm just gonna get out of here.
Why are you choosing that square for the rook?
I'm choosing this because if I go here, I get taken. I guess this one works too. But wait, let me think. Yeah, I guess either of them work.
Either of them work, but your move is a lot stronger. And again, that goes to show that even though you've only started playing chess a few days ago, you already started developing an intuition. And that will help you especially when you don't have much time and you need to make a move in a second, you need to make a quick move. You will often need to just rely on what you feel like is a good move. You don't have much time to think through it. So it's great that by instinct you wanted to move the rook here, even if you didn't verbally tell yourself why you're making that move. You wanted to pick this one, and that's the best move.
Oh.
Do you know why this is so strong?
It's the best move because it also puts pressure on the bishop.
Yeah. So even though you had a choice between a few squares, even on the 7th rank, you had two options. Or if you want to go, maybe you say, oh, I don't mind the 7th, but you should try to stay on the 7th if you can. So that's good. But you had these two options. You should always try to do the one that's more forcing. And you've just said this bishop is hanging. So this is again one of those situations when you're winning time. Because I need to react to this capture. You either win my bishop or I have to retreat, but I cannot just go ahead with my life thinking everything is fine.
Mm-hmm.
if you move the rook, it still of course is a winning position because you're up a rook, but the other one is stronger because you keep forcing me to have very limited options. And you wanted to take here, right? So maybe this position is so sad, but like at least, oh, I don't see you.
I know. Okay, I'm back.
So what I was gonna show you, that even though black's position is very sad, but at least
They could move their bishop back to c8 to threaten my rook.
for instance, they could do that. Or if they want to respond to this attack over the pawn, can they now do something so that it will not be captured? Can you find a way for black to at least save that?
They just move the pawn one forward
Yeah,
to f6.
exactly. So I can, well, in this case, you can no longer take this. And this knight, as bad as it is, at least it's kind of holding things together for now. Again, it's not a good position for black, but they have at least avoided immediate disaster, right? So we don't have anything direct here. While what your move does, it wins time because you move away a piece that was threatened by threatening something else. So now there's a double threat. The bishop is hanging and the pawn is still hanging. They cannot deal with both at the same time. And you're a genius because you made this move by instinct. You made this move by instinct, Michelle.
Okay.
So, I mean, in a week or two, it's gonna be Michelle giving me a lesson at this rate. You knew that move before you even understood why it was so strong. That's great. Okay. I'm very impressed. I'm really impressed. I've just told you about the rooks on the seventh, and now you're maximizing everything you know about them. Brilliant. Very good job. So if I'm thinking here, which threat do you think I should respond to? If I cannot deal with both, which one is the one your opponent would need to respond to if they want to do the better option, if they want to go for the better option?
Probably moving the bishop to c8. Potentially.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because the other is a pawn, so they will try to save the piece that's of higher value. Good.
Okay.
And now?
Now. It's more complicated than I thought it would be.
No worries. Just tell me about your thought process. Again, let's be systematic. What's that bishop move doing? Does it create a new threat? Is there anything that you need to respond to?
Okay. Bishop is not creating a new threat. I mean... Okay, an idea I have is I could go rook a8 and skewer the bishop and the knight, and then when one of them moves, when the bishop moves, capture the knight. Rook takes back, my rook takes, and I think that's mate.
So
am I insane?
you're telling me that you see this bishop and you want to take it. You want to move the rook here to attack it, and you're saying I don't have any squares for my bishop.
Well, okay. The bishop can move back to a6.
Yeah.
Then I would take the knight. That black rook takes, I take back, and it's me. Right? Is that crazy?
No, again, it's just genius. Michelle, you are doing very well for your second chess lesson on stream. I'm just saying. I will try not to make you overconfident because I feel like I'm gonna be complimenting you a lot, but it's because you earned it. You keep making moves that aren't that simple to see. I was sure you wanted to take the pawn because that was our initial plan, right? You moved the rooks to the 7th and the knight here to put pressure on the pawn. But now you notice that you can perhaps win something even bigger. This is a taller piece than the pawn and even more valuable. And as you said, if I move the bishop back, first of all, poor piece could be captured, but you want to capture the other one. You want to take this because you want to go for my king.
Yeah.
Which rook capture is better? When you were calculating this, which rook move do you think is stronger? Like, both of them are really good, but if we compare, which one you think is even better?
I guess the rook on 8 doing everything. Well, okay. Oh god, like imagining all these pieces moving in my head is just like, I feel like I'm in the movie Inside Out and I just have a bunch of people running around a burning building like move the files and like save the thing. Okay, here we go.
Take your time.
Okay, so if I take the knight with the 8, okay, we're gonna deal with the rook on A8. I take their knight.
Mm-hmm.
They take my rook.
Mm-hmm.
They take back. I take the rook. The end. If I do the other way and go from E7 up, they take, I take back. I guess it's the same. Is it the same? But the stronger one.
You're right that if they take your rook, it's the same. And then it's checkmate. But take a look at the two options and which one is more forcing. Which one forces black to take your rook, and in which case could they do something else and not capture your rook? And you can keep drawing arrows if it helps, because sometimes for visualization, feel free. Because do you know that during your games, Michelle, do you know that when you will be competing, you can still draw arrows? So you can...
Yes.
Okay, amazing. So
Thank God.
just make sure to use all the tools you want because it helps to visualize.
Okay. So option 1, boom, boom, bam.
Yeah.
Okay, option 2. Okay, option 1 is better because in option 2, I believe, if I go here, they can bring in the bishop if they're seeing a few moves ahead. Am I crazy?
Ah.
I guess that doesn't do anything either.
But good thinking. You're trying to block the connection. Good thinking.
Because the king can move too. Okay, here. Here. Oh. It's my move currently, right? Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so
and just to sum up what you have seen so far, in both cases, whether you start with the A8 rook or E7 rook, if they take your rook, it's gonna be the same, right? Because you will then take rook takes rook and checkmate. So you don't need to worry about looking at that option again because that's the same. We now need to find what is the difference if they don't take. So let's say you start with this move.
Oh, if they don't go for it.
Yeah, exactly. So if they go for it, it's the same.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. All right, so if I go, they say, no thank you, and I take back, then the king can take me.
Yeah.
However, let's see if this works. Okay, here. king can't take back because of the rook on the 8 file. So I have to go here. Oh my god!
You did it! Michelle, you did it! You noticed the difference. And yes, if they take it, it's the same, but it makes sense to compare because this is more forcing. Again, the 2 rooks together. You were talking about this, how strong they can be together, right? The 2 rooks supporting each other, they can lead to checkmate or capturing the rook. You're forcing your opponent to either take, which is checkmate, you saw this, or if they don't take, you're threatening to take them and they can't take back. So this is basically the end of the game for me. I have only very bad options here. Very bad.
Okay, and just so I remember this correctly.
Yes.
A way for me to remember it is to bring the rooks up together.
Yeah.
Because in the other option, they were on separate
Yes. Yeah.
files.
Look at this. The thing is, in one way they are on the same file, like they are on the E file together. In this case, they are on the 8th rank together. So in both
Rank
cases,
is what I meant to say.
yeah. Sometimes, don't worry. Sometimes they will need to be on the same file. Sometimes they will need to be on the same rank. So it depends on the situation. But here, doubling rooks here, does this create any new threats? Are you threatening to take the pawn? Can you move the rooks to the 9th or 10th rank? I guess the problem.
So you're saying like if I blundered this,
Yeah.
how I would get out of it?
Oh, I wouldn't say it's a blunder. This is still a winning move. So both moves were good, but one was stronger because this creates this double stack on the back rank, and you're threatening to checkmate. So you're threatening to win the game right now, right here. The other move, you're up a rook and a knight, so most likely you will win the game, but it's not over just yet. I still have a very, 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 very slim hope that somehow I'm gonna make a comeback. Maybe I win on time. If you don't checkmate me, I could win on time. So maybe I have something. Most likely not, but just saying that you will try to find when there's 2-3 options, just compare which one achieves what. And yes, your question is very good because this makes sense too sometimes, but not exactly here, because this pawn is guarded by a pawn, so you will not want to take it with a rook, right?
Right, and I can't go here because they just... Oh!
Yeah, sorry, that was me misclicking.
If I go here, they would take back with the king, not the rook, and then also threaten my rook.
Can they take the rook with the king if you were to take here? Let's say
no.
Let's say I make a move. I make a move for black, so it's white to move. So you're looking at this
right,
move.
Right, because the knight's there.
Yeah, so
the
they can't. They can't take it with the king because of the knight, and they can't take it with the rook because
it will make it checkmate.
Is this a legal move for black to take? So let's try.
What I'm saying is if they move, it becomes checkmate for me, so it's not legal.
Very good, very good. Yeah.
So if I go there.
Yeah. Sorry, I misclicked.
They can't really do anything. And then I just go up, right?
So you would have a very similar idea of the other pattern, right? When we had the 2 rooks on the back rank, you're trying to get that. Now, let's visualize this move and tell me what changes in the position for you. So that rook will be attacking. For now, you're attacking the rook with 1 rook. If you capture the pawn here, then two rooks of yours are attacking my rook. What else changes in the position? Compare what was that rook doing here and what happens once it's on a different square.
Okay.
And I know it's a lot. And at some point your brain starts melting, and then it's like when you know that, okay, the session has been long enough, so we will soon be wrapping up. Don't worry about that.
No,
but
no. I'm going hard.
I know you're doing a very impressive job, but I don't want to push you too much. But just think
No,
about
no,
that
no.
rook move. So we're
Okay,
gonna
use of what?
visualize rook captures pawn. What changes in the position?
I'm still cutting off all of 7.
Yeah.
And I'm double threatening their rook. However, if they could take back my rook now. Is that what you mean?
Which rook you mean?
Because I'm leaving my other rook hanging.
Yes! Excellent job. So as tempting as it is to go for this and attack their rook, it will be their turn after the capture. And you're right. Your rook is hanging. And this, again, it's difficult to realize it before it's too late. Because it looks like this is a winning move. You're gonna end up checkmating. But if you make the move, then this rook will be captured. We kind of will be regretting that there's no take back button. And again, many of the mistakes will happen in situations like this when you think this is safe because the rooks are supporting each other. So you're gonna always double check what changes in the position, because this move is safe for this rook, but it's not safe for the other, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is it a bad idea to try to just walk this rook over here? Like, boom, boom?
Can you do it?
I guess within that time, they could move a pawn
Uh-huh.
forward.
I like your idea. I like that you want to go back to that pattern to put pressure on the rook. Can you move away with this rook? Can you go to any of these squares and then down or up?
Because, oh my gosh, they're battery. They're best friends.
Yeah, they will no longer be seeing each other, but best friends want to be hanging out together. So we should take care of that. You are right. So to your questions, when we were comparing this, remember which one is better. Again, it depends on the specific position, but this is very strong because the two rooks are attacking that one single rook together. They are working as a team, attacking that rook together. This is an immediate loss for black, I would think, because I cannot take your rook. That's checkmate. You already said this. And if I cannot take here, how can I defend my rook? Is there a move for black to guard this?
The only thing I thought of is, in this situation, if it's black's move,
Yeah.
they could move a pawn h7 to, like, I don't know, h6 or 5. So they make a move and then move the king out.
Very good. So at least black can try to prevent checkmate, but can they save the rook?
No. But I'm hesitant to take the rook until the king is out.
What do you mean by that? That you're hesitant to take... Oh, from black's perspective, hesitant to take this rook.
So if we're in this situation and they move their pawn, let's say here.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a bad move, I don't know. I would be hesitant to take here because I know the king... Oh, but the king can't take back.
The king can't take back because your other rook is backing
If they
you.
move a pawn, I'm still going.
Oh, can I
I'm
just
going
say
for it.
hi to your other coach, Michelle, because Gotham Chess is just raided and I think they are here to see the lesson. Let me thank you for the raid. I'm following up on your coaching. I was watching the VOD as part of my preparation to be on the same page with Levi. We're going to be working as a team to help you, Michelle, achieve your goals in case some of the 2,600 or so viewers from Levi weren't there yesterday, which I assumed you guys were there. I assume everyone was at the lesson, but in case they weren't there, can you just update them on what's your challenge for this month?
Oh, yes. Basically, sorry.
I know it's been a lot of chess. What's my name? Who am I?
Levy's like, what is going on with her?
It's okay. There are about 12 or 13,000 people watching, so I just wanted to make sure that they know what you're doing.
Right now, I'm gonna take a sip of water. Okay, my name is Michelle. I'm a YouTuber. On my YouTube channel, I have a show called Challenge Accepted, and in each episode, I take on a different community, lifestyle, or profession. So this month, I'm learning chess ahead of PogChamps. So really excited to learn from Anna, Levy, anyone else who wants to, in the chat, who wants to teach me things even. A lot of people have been teaching me things in the chat. Yesterday, I stayed on and did puzzles for like another like 30 minutes or so. And I wouldn't look at chat. I would try to figure it out myself. And once I did, I would look back at chat and the whole chat had the answer the entire time. So thank you for the warm welcome to the world of chess. So happy to be here.
We want to make sure that you like it here in our community, and we're going to be helping you as much as we can, Michelle.
Thank you.
You're doing so well in this position too, because you were saying that black can't really... We were saying black can't take this rook. I mean, it's a legal move, but not a good one, because it's checkmate immediately. So you immediately notice too, picking up from that thought process, that the king needs an escape square. And this is what you will often see about castling and these bodyguards. So you want to keep those bodyguards near your king, but because there's a threat of back rank mate, in many positions and many games you will see that pattern, there has to be a bit of room for the king. So you want the bodyguards close, but not too close. Like, they shouldn't be breathing onto your neck and not letting you take pictures and stuff. So this room is needed. Unfortunately, it doesn't save the rook. So you can now take it because, as you were saying just before Levy's raid, that the king can't capture the rook. It's guarded by the other rook. So you have very powerful rooks here on the 8th rank. And now I haven't gotten checkmated yet, but how am I doing? Oh. How am I doing, Michelle? How am I doing here?
Could I move my rook on f8 to h8? They can't take back because I'm protected by this other rook. And they can't move out to g6 because it's protected by the knight. Yay.
Well done! I was trying to be as casual as possible, giving no clues, no hints. I was like, maybe Michelle will want to take my bishop, or maybe Michelle will want to take my pawn. There's so many things hanging, and you didn't go for the shiny ones. You didn't get distracted by the shiny objects. You were like, oh, but checkmate. Look at you, Michelle. This is great. I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of you. I was so trying, and I think, I mean, tell me guys in the chat, but I think I gave 0 clues. I was trying to be super casual.
No, there were clues. There were definitely breadcrumbs.
No, I have not said anything about checkmate. I don't remember talking about this king being in danger. I've just said I've escaped. And you didn't believe me. You were like, whatever, Anna, checkmate.
I love this, like, what do we call it? Castlemania?
Yes.
Castlemania is my girl. I'm ready for this.
You're gonna be Michelle Castlemania. Exactly. It's gonna be your trademark. So Castlemania, I think by now, we have now the 7th, the rook on the 7th, that's Castlemania. 1 or 2 rooks. The more the better, of course. So 1 rook, 2 rooks, great. And now you have also Castlemania on the back rank. Beautiful. This is gonna be your super move, your super power for how to use the rooks, and no one will notice. It's your secret weapon.
No one's gonna notice.
It's only like 12,000 people.
On the stream won't notice.
Well, but this is great. Every participant will have their own styles and approach, and I think you are discovering yourself as a player too, in terms of what kind of positions do you want to aim for. Levy, if you're still around, we need to find openings for Michelle with opposite side castling, because she wants to go for the aggressive attack, the pawn storms and such. So that's great to know. And now you have the Castlemania too.
Castlemania.
The rooks will be your best friends. They're gonna be
You know
your
what
secret.
I like about Castlemania?
What
Is Queenside Castle also has the word castle in it. So the whole thing is Castlemania.
Yeah.
Queenside Castle to rooks on 7. That's the Castlemania.
Yeah, it's Michelle's trademark. We've got this. We've got this. See, it's, for some others like me, it may have taken me years to figure out what type of positions I like. And then you know this after days. You're gonna go for aggressive attacking positions. You want to castle opposite sides. You want to have your rooks connected and collaborating. And it started out with the rook getting to the open file, remember? First you moved one of your rooks to the open file.
Oh my god, this feels like 7 years ago. I feel like I'm like looking back on my Instagram from like years ago. We're back.
Yeah.
It's 2013.
It's just to show how you built it up step by step, because it's one thing we want to achieve that, but it's a process, step by step. Little by little, you kept improving your position. You calculated this line that even though the knight can be captured, at the end of the line you capture the bishop, so it's an equal trade, and you want equal trades because you are up a rook. And then you brought your other rook to the open file, and then you sneaked in with the knight, and then you sneaked in with the rook. You kept making forcing moves, putting pressure on my pieces, on my pawns, and later the bishop too, because I attacked your rook and you were like, oh, I'll just move here. Bishop is hanging, pawn is hanging, and once I moved the bishop, you no longer wanted my pawn, you wanted my bishop instead. You just kept making really strong moves, Michelle, this whole game. And here too, I was hoping at least you take this bishop, but no, you took my knight, and you are threatening checkmate. And you remember that you saw this when you started thinking about this move? I don't know if you noticed, but here you were saying, I'm gonna move the rook here, and when the bishop moves away, I'm gonna take the knight. And even if you didn't know which rook you wanted to capture with, you did see that after the rook trade, it's checkmate. You saw a line of like 4 or 5 moves. 4 or 5 moves meaning 1 move each, so that's overall like 8-10 moves.
Well, oh my god.
You should be very proud of yourself, lady.
Thank you. I have a question.
Please.
So, if we go to the end of the game where it was checkmate,
Yeah.
I realized it wouldn't have been checkmate had I not moved my knight to e5 earlier in the game, because you said, because that was that moment basically where the opening was done. There wasn't any like crazy move I could do to actually fork or threaten another piece. So I just decided to move my knight forward.
Mm-hmm.
If I hadn't done that, it wouldn't have been checkmate at the end.
Correct.
Do you know, like, when you have those moments of like, oh, I just need to like advance a piece, are you just doing it like, oh, I need to advance a piece, great, I can't do anything with my bishop or whatever, so I'll move my knight forward? Do you do that like intentionally, knowing that it'll come in later? Because for me, to be honest, that was like a happy accident. And if the knight hadn't been there, I feel like I would have had a much more difficult time. Like I would have had to clear out all these pawns and all that to actually achieve checkmate.
That's a very good question. And I think my answer to that would be that when we made that knight move, and that was like 2 years ago, as you said, it feels like it's been ages ago. Sorry, I was clicking on the wrong one. You made that knight move here. So if I were to think about this move, I wouldn't have known that because of that knight, Black will get checkmated 12 moves later. I would not have known. But I would have noticed that the knight is doing better on e5, so you're improving your knight. It's putting pressure on this pawn, you're threatening to capture the pawn. So you had all the right reasons to place the knight there, and that's the correct thinking. My thinking would have been the exact same as yours. The knight is better there, pawn is hanging, I'm threatening to capture the pawn, so it's a good move. It could feel like a happy accident, you're right, but it's not accidental because your pieces are standing so well that it has to happen. You created this even without knowing that you were aiming for it. And it doesn't mean that it will always be falling into place that easily. Maybe sometimes the opponent will try to do something else and they don't get checkmated immediately. But overall, but first of all, can black escape here? I was just trying to show you a different example, but the position is so bad. Can you find a way to win this here if the king was on that square?
If I'm still white in this situation?
Yeah, and it's your turn.
Okay. I would go... Nope. Wait, hold on.
What happens if you go for the same pattern as in the previous example? If you give a check on the back rank, is that checkmate here?
Oh, wait, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
No worries. Here. So if you were to go... We saw this checkmate earlier, and I'm curious if you use the same pattern in this position, does that lead to checkmate? Just picture this move.
If I go there...
Yeah?
Then the king can escape here.
Excellent. So we are trying to find a check that also covers this square. Because if it's possible to give a check and cover this square, then it's checkmate.
Give a check. Okay, so... okay. I'll just talk through it out loud.
Please do.
If I go here, it's check, but they can take back with the king. If I go here, they go there. If I take the pawn with the knight, they cannot take back.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm protected by the rook. At which point they do some other move, and then I can move in my bishop.
So that could be a couple of move plan, yes.
Yeah, but they could still escape through this hole.
The question is...
So it's something with the knight, I know.
Is there a way in which you can give a check and also guard the square? Try to see the rest of the patterns too. Think of the rest of your pieces and how they coordinate.
I think that the only pieces that can make a check right now are the rook and the bishop.
Correct. And you.
But if I go here, they take back. But if I go here, they move here.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? So rook and bishop. You've checked that this will be taken. Any other checks with the bishop, or is this the only one?
I think it's the only one. Am I crazy?
You're not. We are just double checking everything. Don't worry, Michelle. It's sometimes it's just that simple. That's the only one, and it's not a good one. You looked at this rook check, and it's not a bad move, but the king escapes, as you said, through this hole. Is there any other rook checks? Because you said it's only the rook and the bishop that can give checks. So what other checks do you have?
I mean, I don't see anything the knight can do.
So it's not the knight, right? No, because the knight...
Is this a pawn? What is going on?
I think it's just that the session has been quite a long one. And sometimes it escapes.
Okay, so rook takes pawn, king can't take back. Oh, they still go through the hole. No, wait, they can't. They can't go to the hole. I think that would be it.
Very good. Rook takes pawn. Cannot come here. Cannot take the rook. Cannot come here because of the bishop. Cannot go to the back rank because of the other rook. Very
Holy
good job.
Smokes.
It has been an almost 3-hour lesson by this stage. So it sometimes happens that
really, I don't even know what time it is. I don't know what planet I'm on.
That's the thing. I'm sure that if I asked you this question at the start of the lesson, when you were still fresh, you would have noticed it immediately. But because we've gone on for quite some time, it happens. Please don't feel like, oh, I should have seen it. You saw this check, you saw this check, and you saw an even more advanced idea to capture with the knight to then use the bishop. This would have been checkmate too. You're threatening checkmate with the bishop now, bishop to e5. It's a different pattern because the knight is covering then this square. The bishop from here will be giving check and guarding this square.
Yeah.
So your ideas were good too. This is just a bit faster to give checkmate immediately. But again, it's a happy accident, yes, that this is checkmate. It's also checkmate if the king goes here. This is where you asked me if I would have known when you made that move that this is gonna happen. And no, I wouldn't have known it, but you achieved this. You created this happy accident by making good moves. You kept improving your position. You kept increasing the potential of your pieces. And by that I mean you kept going forward, you kept making threats, you kept creating threats around the king especially, because if we want to give checkmate, we are going with our pieces toward the king. So you create these happy accidents by making the right moves 5, 10, 15, 20 moves before. You made this happen.
Cool. I'd love to make this happen on my games with on chess.com by myself too. I just feel like sometimes when I play, it's like the Wild West, and I get crazy. But this game has taught me the importance of peace.
I'm glad if it has. I know it can feel like a lot of information. Basically, what we were trying to practice, if you remember, was to move by move check what is the threat of the opponent, what changes in the position, because that can lead you to conclusions like, oh, there's a piece hanging. Oh, there's a pattern in which I can win their queen. And also always double check that your moves are safe. Remember the example when your rooks we were talking about this too a little bit. If your rooks are like this. So again, this was a case where this move looks like this has to be winning. You're threatening to give checkmate. But you need to double check before you make the move what changes in the position, so that rook here is guarding the rook. Once you move it, it's no longer guarding the rook. So it's not only you and the piece that moves to that square that has to be checked, but also what was the duty of that piece. Is it still carrying out the duty? Or in this case, no, unfortunately, that rook will be captured. So I think it takes quite some practice for this to feel natural, that you check for their threats and what changes in the position. And you always, before you make a move, you double check whether it's safe. So will my piece be hanging there? Or will the move that I'm choosing cause something to the rest of my pieces that I don't want? So it's your move to that square, that piece that you should check, but also what was the role of that piece? What was it carrying out? This rook was carrying out the duty of guarding the rook. So that's another thing you should check, how the pieces relate to one another. What's their role when it comes to defending each other, supporting each other? I know it's a lot of information, but you'll definitely get there because you've only just started and you already have done so much progress. I'm really impressed. I'm super impressed.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Seriously.
Can I ask one last question?
Yes, and I was also gonna say, if your brain is not 100% melted, we can also play one last game as Levi did, if you want to. But
Oh, like where I play unrated?
yeah,
Let's do it.
sure. But please go ahead with the question.
Tournament's gonna be exhausting. I gotta practice under exhaustion. Okay, my last question was: if you move the rook on f7 back one move,
Yeah, here.
can you remind me again how we got out of this?
Yeah, because your idea
Well,
was very, very good, because you wanted to place the rooks on the back
Yeah,
rank.
and then they would take the rook anyways.
Yeah.
When I move.
And the way we got out of this is that I magically clicked on the back button and I then went for this rook capture for you. So you're right, we haven't actually solved that position. So we could think about that first, because it's quite instructive. That's an
Can
instructive.
we do that?
Yeah.
Because I know if I don't, it's gonna happen in PogChamps, and I'm gonna be sitting there, and I'm gonna look right at the camera, and I'm just be like, Anna.
And I'd be like, I should have taught her.
I should have
I'm a bad coach. I failed as a coach. I didn't show her how to untangle.
Not that you failed. That I got excited about something else and led us down a different tangent.
No,
not
you're
at
right.
all.
You're right. We haven't solved this because you wanted to bring the rook to the back rank. So that's a good thought, but you notice that wherever you move the rook, it will leave your rook hanging. So couple of options you can do. If you cannot move the rook and you want to untangle your pieces, you could trade. I know it's not the same and it's not going to lead to the checkmate that we wanted, but at least now your rook can move. So basically that trade frees your piece. It frees it's once again back to full mobility. When you trade, now your rook can go wherever you want to. It no longer has to be pending on the other rook. So this is one solution. And the other is, if you take a look at the rest of your pieces and you want to create the same situation where you are attacking this rook, so you're forcing me to take your rook. We originally did it with the rook, but is there any other piece that could attack that rook on f8?
When you said look at all the other pieces on the board, I felt like I was like looking through binoculars and someone just like widened the lens. And I was like, oh, the whole earth is here. Okay. Okay, just chatting through it. If I move my knight to f7, it doesn't threaten anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like annoying.
Yep, good move, because I can't take it with the king, you already told me, and I can't take it with the rook either. The only thing, let's just take a look at this quickly, and then we're gonna go back to the original question. So again, this feels like it could be a good move because it can't be taken neither with the rook nor with the king. So nothing happens to the knight, right? But this creates a situation, this is already more advanced, so please don't worry if this is not obvious. But this rook is in charge of two different things. It's in charge of protecting this rook, and it's also in charge of this knight so that the king can't take it, right?
Oh, so we're gonna have a trade-off situation, potentially, where their rook will take mine on 8. I have to take back, and then the king takes my knight.
Yes. Well done. I thought this was advanced, but not advanced for Michelle. Nicely done.
Well, I feel like I want to be able to visualize that without... You know what I mean?
Yeah, it takes time, so don't worry that this was not obvious. But once I asked you the question without clues, I don't think I've given you clues about this trade, you immediately noticed it, so that's already huge. These are difficult positions, how the pieces relate, how they coordinate, and how this is... We call this an overloaded piece. It has too many things. It wants to multitask, but it can't really. It cannot be doing both.
Okay. Wait.
Yeah.
Wait, if I... Okay.
This position?
No, the original. with all 3 rooks and the knight back? Okay.
Are you telling me you already solved it?
No, I don't think so. Okay. Hold on. Can't move. If I take the pawn with the rook on 7,
Yeah.
the rook on 8 can't come down because that would be illegal, and the king can't come because that would be illegal. So maybe it's a safe move.
This one.
Am I?
Don't worry.
What?
It's been a long session, so the only I think you may have gotten a bit confused.
Okay, I think I have.
It's all right. It's all right. It's been a while. What?
Oh no, then the rook on the egg. Okay, rook is hanging.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So
Right.
that's why we can't move the rook, because this is depending on the other rook. So we want to try to attack this rook, but with a different piece, not the
Okay.
rooks.
What about knight here?
What does that do?
It attacks the rook. Technically this pawn too, I guess.
Yeah,
And it can't go anywhere.
can't go
and the
anywhere.
king won't be able to take back because that's illegal.
Very good job. Knight d7 is the winning move.
Okay.
And this is another way to untangle your pieces. You either will be capturing here, or if I take, you already know the answer. This is the checkmate you were going for. Very
Okay.
good job. So this is another thing you can do with pieces that are tangled. You either trade one of them and then your mobility is back, or sometimes you don't mind that they are tangled because you can keep putting wood on the fire. You're bringing even more pieces to the attack. And now you're threatening to take. So again, what would be a move for black to at least not get checkmated?
Move a pawn forward and then try to escape that way.
Yeah.
Or no. Okay, let me think about this. Move to not get checkmated. I think they're going to need to move this pawn.
Mm-hmm. Why that pawn and not the other pawn? What was the difference?
Because when I move here, they won't be able to escape on this side.
Oh, you want to take with the knight. I see.
Oh no, I guess I'm saying like so if you move here and I take here,
Mm-hmm.
then the king can escape this way.
Yeah.
However, if this pawn moves and I take here, the king cannot escape.
Very good point. I didn't realize you wanted to take with the knight. Now I understand why you were pointing at that.
Take the rook with the knight?
You can take the rook
What I
with
was
the
thinking.
yeah. You can take the rook with the knight, or you can take it with
Oh,
your rook.
yours is way better. Oh my god, yeah.
It's not. It depends. It's not always better, because your idea. I liked your idea too. You're saying I take with the knight so that the king cannot escape, and then you know what you're threatening if you take with the knight.
The pawn on e6.
Because by capturing that pawn, what would happen? Can I take that knight?
No.
Why can I not take it?
Because okay, if I go here, you can't take. Oh, because you have to move the king.
I have to move the king.
You're
I'm
in
in check. Very good.
Yeah.
So that's why I was impressed that you want to take with the knight. This is like some next level 5 head strategy that you were like, oh, if I take with the rook, the king will run. So you want to take with the knight to prevent me from running, and then you are threatening a discover check. So, okay, Michelle, your instinct is really good. For
Wait,
someone,
but what if they didn't do that? What if they took like? What if they move out this way?
Now or the move before? You mean here or later? Here or earlier, I mean.
Wait, can we go back?
Of course. And don't
Okay,
worry,
so we're here.
again, this has been already a 3-hour session, so please don't worry that nothing comes that easy when you have been working on your chess for the past 3 hours nonstop.
Oh my god. Okay, so let's say you move forward here.
Yeah?
Would you say that's the best move for you in this situation?
It could be one of the better options, yes, because you are creating a path for the king, and as you said, if the knight takes, at least the king can run. Also, you're creating a threat, so the rook is hanging, but you're trying to attack something else. You're trying to create a counter threat. I think it's a good attempt to try to survive, but I'm gonna ask you here, from White's perspective, what do you think would be a good move? And there will be a couple of good moves here. This is a winning position. I'm just curious, how would you want to convert it? How would you try?
Go there.
So if you take my rook with the knight, what happens if I capture your bishop?
And my plan has been foiled. Okay, fine. So
Or
what
you
if
could be a
I-
genius. I'm telling you that your instincts
Okay.
are crazy good.
All right. So we're assuming this. Oh wait, sorry. This
Yeah,
is the next move.
yeah. Let's start
And
with
you
that.
take my bishop.
Yes.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me see if I counted correctly. Can I play it out on the board?
You can take the rook and you can take the bishop, and yeah, let me just exactly.
So you take the bishop.
Yeah, and now it's your turn, and I'd like you to think of this without making the move.
Okay. I think the move is knight goes here, and the pawns can't take because the king's got to move.
Yeah.
When the king moves down. King moves down. Okay. Knight goes here.
Yeah.
King has to move here.
Mm-hmm.
Rook moves in. King has to take back.
Where does the rook move? Can you draw it?
Okay, knight goes here. The king goes here.
Yeah.
This rook moves in. The king takes back.
Yeah.
This rook moves up.
Huh?
And the king just moves back down.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Okay.
So the issue with all of this was that, again, I'm trying to escape, right? Can you prevent me? Can you prevent me from running? Can you stop me from going there? Take a look at other options too, because I think you started with this, which is a good move for sure. It gives a check, but sometimes because you get lost in one line, it makes you not see the other. Makes you not see
You're
the
right.
other
And
options.
then they have double pawns, so one of them would have taken me anyways. Okay. You know what? I should have years ago. I should have just moved that pawn to the 8 file, and there would be none of this problem.
You can do it. You can find this. What's this, Michelle? What's on the board?
Checkmate.
Well done. Well done.
I hope I never have to replicate this.
No, Michelle, now we go back to square one and you're gonna show me all the moves leading to this. 27 moves in total. That is 27 for each side. Hope you're ready. 54 moves.
Okay.
No, this has been great. You did so well. And I know it's a long session, so it tires you and it will make you find these patterns slower, or maybe not you may not see it immediately, but that's just because we have been training for so long. So please don't be too hard on yourself. Again, if I have asked you this at the start of the lesson, you would have told me immediately that this is the move, because I know you have been solving puzzles and this would be a puzzle solution. The king wants to run away, so you choose this square. All of these other moves are good too for the check, right? Wherever the knight goes, it is a check with the rook, but this one has another function. The rook gives a check and the knight guards the square where I want it to escape to. Very good job. I'm really proud of you. Again, you have been going on for 3 hours and still you are like, no, Anna, we need to keep going. I want more. Yes. I need to win PogChamps. We need to keep going. So if you want to keep going, we will play a game, Hand and Brain. But if not, that's also fine. Because I know that it can be too much. It's also fine to take breaks.
What is your recommendation?
I think you worked very hard, and I think you can keep going, but only after a break. So even if you feel like you want to study more, you can do puzzles or play games. But I certainly recommend you take a quick break, fresh air, snack break. Listen to music, do something else for a bit of time, and then come back to it, because you need your brain to be fresh. Because now you will be disappointed that you don't see things that you would normally see. Right.
Yeah.
So you would. Okay. This will be the same for competition too, or whenever you practice by playing games after games. By the way, when you play games, do you check the analysis of your game? That is, do you go back to the game and check? Okay, amazing.
Yeah, I go through and I look at all the blunders and...
Very good, very good. Because I was going to recommend that you play a game, then you check briefly the critical moments. You don't have to analyze it move by move, but the main decisive moments, if you turn on the evaluation, there's a bar next to the board. I'm sure you have seen it, haven't you? That there's a bar. Here too.
Is it the one that like bounces up and down?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know what it was, but I see.
Amazing. Do this one thing for me. Do you see on the right side a tab where it says all the moves? Do you see that? Yes. And then it says evaluation, and it has a slide next to it that you can turn on.
Evaluation.
It's right below the tab that says analysis board.
Mine says Explorer.
Oh wait, maybe you don't. Let me check on your stream. Maybe you don't see the same. Oh no, I don't see your full tab. You have Explore. When you don't have a tab that says analysis board. Maybe it looks different on your end.
Oh wait, observing. It says observing analysis board.
I wonder if you wait. You see Explore? No. Maybe it shows differently to you. Then let's do it differently. We're gonna go to one of your games. Okay, you go to your profile.
Oh no.
It's okay. It's all right. Let's go to any of your games. You pick a game for me.
I'll just choose the most recent game.
Okay, so we click on the most recent game, and then yes, on the right side it says analysis. That's the one you normally click on, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Amazing. Okay, so do you see the bar next to the board on the left side of the board?
Yeah.
Amazing. What you need to focus on a lot are the moments when that bar jumps up or down, because that means that something is going wrong for someone. So I
was about to say that happens a lot with me.
Well, it could happen in the right direction too. You want the bar to jump in your favor. If you're playing with the white pieces, you want the bar to be going up, up, and up for white. If it's fully white, usually there's a checkmate or you're a queen up. Like that's the decisive advantage. So the fuller the bar, the better for you. what you can do after each game of yours, and I would do this game by game. So you play a game, and then before starting your next practice game, you click on this tab, the analysis, and you focus on the moments when that bar jumps crazy. Like in this game, do this one thing for me. You start clicking on the move. So you click on the first one, you go back to D4, and then you keep pressing the right button on your keyboard.
Oh, cool. This is a really bad game because I was so tunnel vision on London that what I should have done is put a pawn out to protect it from the knight.
It's okay. It happens. I know that you were also saying you were very tired when you play these games. So this is
I was playing it like midnight last night.
This is not the representation of your level. I know that you didn't play at your optimal level, but the first moment when the bar jumps, and also there's a question marks next to the piece, right?
Oh, the question mark. I hate the question mark. It's like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, it's quite frustrating, but it helps to point out mistakes. It points out mistakes for you and for your opponent too. So it makes you slow down. You would pause here, and you will need to think, why is this move bad? So
yes,
I want you to just have the bar and these clues. When the bar jumps and when there's like a question mark, that's when you just need to stop for a second and think, okay, why is it a mistake? And then you notice, oh, because the knight is hanging, so I could have taken it. And then if you keep pressing the right button, of course that knight keeps hanging, so it's showing you that you are winning. It shows you the bar fuller for white, right? And then you make a queen move, and that queen move just suddenly jumps the bar. Why does it jump the bar for black? Why is now black doing all right here? Do you know?
Because they're one move away from a check with the knight.
And what would that check cause?
Me to lose my castle because I have, or either I have to move the king and lose a castle, or I have to move the bishop, lose the bishop.
How do you mean move the bishop after the check?
Never mind. I'm crazy.
No, it's just been a long session, so please don't feel bad. But you've got the right idea. Knight jump, attacks the king, attacks the rook. So it's a fork, and it picks up the rook. So that's how you're gonna use this tool. You don't have to stop at every move, but I want you to focus on the moments when the bar jumps in one direction or the other. And those are the moments when you're gonna pause, and you will think, what's wrong with that move? What is happening? And this is how you're gonna learn a lot from your own games. I always say that the games we lose are the best, most valuable lessons, because
I have a lot of lessons to learn.
It's like we all make mistakes, and you will make mistakes in games that you win as well. So it's likely that...
Wait. Oh, wait, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, wait, no, that wouldn't have worked. I was about to be like, if I had just moved the queen to h5, that would have actually... Maybe, I guess they would have just moved a pawn. Never mind.
But it's good instinct that you're looking at their king, because this is what we started doing systematically too, right? You're looking at your king, but also the opponent's king. Very good job that you're looking at this potential check, and it would have been checkmate if it's not for the pawn. Very good instinct.
Wow.
Very good
Thank
thinking,
you so
Michelle.
much.
Just keep doing this, really. So what you can do today is you're gonna take a break. You're gonna have something nice to eat. You're gonna listen to music, go outside, see the sun, fresh air. And then after a break, when you come back, you're gonna be back again at your best level. Because right now, if we play the game, it would not be your best performance, because it cannot be. You are tired, and I've been testing you for 3 hours without stopping. So you need to now take a break and then get back to playing games, solving puzzles. All those are great to improve from. And whenever you play a game, then you click on the analysis tab and you look for moments when it makes the bar jump. Those are the type of mistakes you want to correct first and foremost, because that means that there was something big happening and you maybe didn't exploit it, you maybe didn't realize, or you made something that was a big mistake and your opponent may or may not have realized, but you should try not to do it next. So next time, for instance, this queen move, even if the knight is not hanging, but what have we learned about this queen move? Why is it wrong?
It doesn't make a real threat on anything because every piece it sees is protected.
Yep, correct.
It also, the move should have been used to take the knight.
Yeah, and in a hypothetical case, if the knight was not hanging, true that it's
okay.
It's
okay, so it's still a bad move. Also because it's too crazy. And it doesn't follow the principles of Castlemania, which are go crazy when it's time to go crazy, but this isn't the time to go crazy.
Exactly. I like that. I like it that we're gonna always go back to your trademark Castlemania. And what changes in the position, remember what changes in the position, this queen, it's not developed, but at least it has a few good things it's doing. And it's no longer doing that from here. So what changes for what the queen is doing now and what happens once the queen moves?
Well, before it was actually attacking the knight, or not attacking, but making the knight a little uncomfortable. It was like, hey, I see ya.
Yeah.
It was also adjacent to the king.
Yeah.
So protecting the king.
And something else that is why this move has a drawback. So what was wrong with this move, and you pointed out that this knight fork is what black could have done. And that means that this queen, as much as it's on the initial square, but at least it's also guarding. What is it important that it's guarding?
Oh, F3. Oh, wait. D. The whole
D file, the F3 square. All of it.
And also the potential place that the knight would go.
The fork, right?
The fork, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
the fork on C2.
And that's something that we will try to get used to when you think of your moves. Remember, you check if it's a safe move, whether your piece will be safe where you go, but also you need to check what changes in the position in relation to the rest of your pieces. So that's when you will need to think like, this square is only guarded by the queen. As soon as I step away, it no longer is prevented. So these are patterns that you will learn from your games. So just keep practicing. Game analysis, solving puzzles, because puzzles are winning moments. They are like the winning moments that will decide PogChamps too. The more puzzles you solve, the bigger your patterns will be. You're gonna have a lexicon of patterns. And chess is a lot about pattern recognition. So that's when you're like, oh, back rank checkmate. Oh, fork. I've seen this. I can win the queen. So the more puzzles you solve, the more familiar you become with the patterns, and they become repetitive at some point. I'm sure that by now you have solved so many puzzles that sometimes you're like, oh, I've seen this. I know this. And the position is never the same. It's just that it's the same pattern. So that's why it's super important to keep solving puzzles. I always say that puzzles and learning from your own games, especially the games we lose, are the two best ways to improve at chess. They teach you a lot. So keep going. Keep up the grind, but only after a break, Michelle. I'm obliging you to take a break. I'm obliging you to take a break, but you've done really well, and I'm really proud of you. I'll be helping you whenever you need me. You let me know.
Thank you.
We organize it with Levi. When is the next coaching session with him? When are you learning from me? But we're gonna make sure you learn as much as you can.
Cool. Thank you so much, Anna. Are you going to continue streaming, or are you taking a break as well?
I think I'm gonna force myself to take a break too, because I'm in Ireland and it's gonna be midnight, so I'm gonna call it a day.
Oh my god!
But it's okay, because the PogChamps coaching sessions for me will always be late night, because most of you are on the West Coast, so it's okay. This is normal hours for coaching session, but I will also eat. I like food. I think we both deserve a bit of a treat. It's treat time.
All right, well,
Have a
Until the
lovely
next
day.
one.
See you very soon, Michelle, and keep up the
Okay.
grind. Bye everyone at
you.
Michelle's channel, and check out Michelle's channel here on my channel. We have a command !Michelle with Michelle's YouTube channel and Twitch channel. You can follow her on both her
Thank
channels.
you.
You're very welcome,
Everyone from
Michelle.
mine, go check out Anna.
Thank
So
you.
awesome.
Thank you so much. See you soon, Michelle.
Okay.
You've really done very well, but now it's break time.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. This was streamed live on my Twitch channel where I stream full time, 5 days a week. Do catch us live next time or follow the highlights and the votes here on my YouTube channel. In either case, I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much again, and bye for now. Until the next time.